All right, there we go. There we go. Hey, Zane. Yeah, welcome back. How you doing, man? Oh, and also I just gotta make sure that I put the Discord tab on mute. There we go. Oh, hey, Almaris. Yeah, how you doing? And yes, I'm very happy you noticed the burger Hortense. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her name. But yeah, that one came out very good. Same thing for the other sketches. Oh, hey, Mew. Oh, hey, Tunette. Oh, it says here that you're tired. Oh, wait, for real? You've been up since like 5 in the morning? Man, that's wild. But if I'm being honest, I've done that a couple of times. Yeah, especially since I have to go to work early in the morning. Alright, so I'm just gonna wait a couple of more minutes before I do the first spin. I know that last time, like yesterday's live stream, I started the first spin like around 5:21 p.m. But I think I'm gonna give it like an extra maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, so 5:23 p.m. Yeah, that's gonna be when I do the first spin. Hey, Kyle. Oh yeah, so not yet. Yeah, so at exactly at 5:23 p.m., I'll be adding names. Hey, Green. Yeah, welcome back. Alan Weller or Waller. Oh yeah, so requests are officially open right now. But I'm gonna be taking names in about I want to say like 4 minutes. Oh hey, Gadget. Yeah, no, it's really nice to see you here. Yeah, so how you doing, my friend? Oh no, I'm pretty sure he's referring to the sketch requests. Yeah, that's what Alan is talking about. Yeah, exactly, Green. Yeah, so nothing new. Same old, same old. But yeah, I gotta say, the sketch of the monster that I did for Igus, yeah, it came out very nice. I mean, I'm not that, well when it comes to drawing monsters, especially for their designs. Yeah, thank you, Green. Oh yeah, so I know that the title of this live stream has already mentioned it, but I am going to be doing 3 sketches only for today. Yeah, just that tonight's weather is going to be like super cold, so I don't want to be like shivering during the late evening. All right, so it looks like we got 1 more minute left. Oh yeah, so while I'm doing some sketching, I'm actually going to be featuring some YouTube videos. Yeah, actually, I did check out the weather report. It turns out that in my area, it's going to be like around 6 degrees tonight. Okay, cool. So it's currently 5:23 p.m. So as always, if anyone is interested in getting a free sketch from me, feel free to drop your names in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to add your names to the wheel. And of course, if there's like a current ad break going on, let me just type in names so that everybody else is aware. Oh, and of course, let me just bring up the rules on the wheel. Oh, hey, Speed. Yeah, welcome back to my live stream. How you doing, man? And also, the turnout right now is surprisingly low. But I'm pretty sure he's gonna pick up like after the second spin. Ah, hey, Eloy. Oh, and of course, I did make sure to like change the spin time from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. Yeah, that was like before I went to live on Twitch. Oh, hey again, Major Key. Yeah, welcome back. All right, so that should be everyone. But let me just double check. Oh yeah, don't worry, Slimus, I see you. Yeah, it's a good thing that you came on time because I was just double checking that everybody's here. And it looks like you're the only person I gotta add. Yep. Let me take care of that right now. All right, there we go. All right, so is everybody ready for the first spin? Oh, hey, Carter. Yeah, actually, I was just about to do the spin. Yeah, so let me add in Carter as well. Oh, and hey, Turtle. Yeah, don't worry, Carter. I've already added you. What about you, Turtle? Do you want to participate as well? Oh yeah, sure. I can definitely add you too. Alright, there we go. So clicking on the wheel in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Rolling. Who's gonna be the first lucky winner? Oh, it looks like we already got our answer. Yep, the first winner is Gadget Boy 197. Yeah, congrats, man. And of course, let me just make this official. As always, congrats to the first winner at Gadget Boy. And sent. Yeah, for sure. Today is definitely your lucky day. And yeah, sorry, Epic. Unfortunately, you came in a bit late. But don't worry, I will be doing two more spins during today's live stream. Alright, so Gadget, you already know the drill. Feel free to DM me on Discord with your idea and references ready in hand. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, thank you, Gadget. Oh yeah, you were very close, Exclamist. Yeah, same thing for speed too. Oh yeah, so while Gadget is collecting his references, I'm gonna see if I can find like a good YouTube video to share with you all. Thankfully, I already have like a full playlist. Yep, I just gotta search underneath my OBS sources. Let's see, what was the name of that thing again? It was something like a Windows capture or something like that. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, okay, here it is. I titled it as a YouTube capture. Yep, there we go. Yeah, let me see if I can start playing the video right about now.
What are you anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
This scene is a great scene. You've reached the end of one of your Sonic Adventure 2 playthroughs, and Sonic has to settle the score with his newest rival at that time, Shadow the Hedgehog. And the stakes couldn't be higher here. They're on the space colony Ark, an orbiting space station with a massive weapon of mass destruction attached to it called the Eclipse Cannon. And with all 7 Chaos Emeralds in his possession to power it, Dr. Eggman is planning to hold the entire world at gunpoint to submit to his control. Sonic is making one last attempt to stop all of this by slamming a fake Chaos Emerald created by Tails into the cannon to destroy it, or at least render it unusable. But standing in his way is Shadow, the ultimate life form. You can't let Sonic get to that cannon. Before they fight though, something interesting happens. They stop to talk, and even though they've only met 2 times before this, those encounters were hostile. This conversation is calm. There's no taunting here, barely any snarky remarks, and if anything, it feels like the 2 of them are trying to understand each other for the first time. Which makes Sonic's formal introduction here land a little differently. And it's funny because you realize Shadow didn't even give him the chance to introduce himself until this part of the game. But let me walk you through why this is all so great. To understand why this scene is so special, you have to look at Shadow himself. Shadow introduces himself at the beginning of the game to Sonic as the ultimate life form, the title that's given to him, how he sees himself. And you can immediately interpret this as a threat akin to Cell from Dragon Ball, a self-proclaimed perfect being that clearly doesn't want what's best for the world. And that's how we were brought into this game when it came out.
Now you can choose to be Sonic, the good hedgehog, and try to save the world, or Shadow, the evil hedgehog, and conquer it.
With the idea that Shadow was this evil antithesis to Sonic, someone who is on his level in power and speed. This ridiculous opponent that can use Chaos Emeralds to manipulate space and time. It's hard to say if the marketing was taking this approach to intentionally have the game subvert expectations about Shadow, but it does make the storytelling in the game that much stronger. This was 2001, and this was the 10th anniversary game for the Sonic series, so a lot of the marketing centered strictly around Shadow as Sonic's new evil rival. Not only that, he was playable. With the stories being split into hero and dark stories with all of this
most definitely, Mew.
perspectives of those teams. And as you
Yeah, so I know for a fact that Turtle will definitely get the win eventually. It just requires some time.
Plan here. Dr. Eggman is, though Shadow is quietly using him to see a grander plot for revenge through. Still, the deeper you dig, he comes across as empty, apathetic, haunted by his past, which starts to make sense when you learn where he comes from. Shadow was created 50 years ago on the space colony Ark by Dr. Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather. And Gerald was tasked by the government to create Shadow as a weapon, but Gerald opted into this project for a totally different reason. For Gerald, Shadow's purpose was to be an ultimate life form, one that could stand the test of time, one that was biologically superior to everything else, because it's through his biology that Gerald would be able to develop a cure for an illness that plagues his granddaughter Maria, an ultimate life form that was meant to help humanity. And Shadow builds a close bond with Maria during their time on the Ark. She instills in him kindness and the will to help others, but tragedy drives them apart. Gerald's experiments and the creation of Shadow invokes fear among the government,
nice.
and the military board the Ark to shut the project down, which involves exterminating the scientists working there, and they attempt to take custody of Shadow. And sadly, Maria is a casualty in this event, shot while trying to help Shadow escape. And despite her efforts, he's still retrieved and contained by the military. Gerald, who is pressured to complete this project, instills within Shadow a path to revenge for the sins of the military if he's ever awakened. And shortly after this, Gerald is executed, with the deaths aboard the Ark being pinned on an accident in a corrupt government cover-up. So Shadow is locked away for 50 years until he's released by Dr. Eggman, who wishes to unleash this destruction his grandfather promised as leverage against the world. So Shadow serves as his guide to uncover the Ark and gather the 7 Chaos Emeralds to power the Eclipse Cannon that was locked away on it. This is the gist of the dark story, while our heroes Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles spend a majority of the game uncovering their plans and chasing after them. So thanks to Shadow's awakening, Sonic is immediately branded a criminal at the beginning of the game, with the military pursuing him because they're racially profiling him and think this famous hero suddenly lost his mind, painted himself black and red, and started robbing banks. So he's thrown into a lot of this without context, and for the most part, Shadow is too set on revenge to truly acknowledge Sonic despite his power. And the hero team's whole pursuit culminates to this showdown with their rivals on the space colony Ark, with Eggman luring Sonic into a trap while holding Amy at gunpoint.
Put the emerald down right there and back off.
I miss this Eggman. And the trap is a capsule being ejected into space with a bomb planted on it. So with nowhere else to go, Sonic thinks to copy Shadow's chaos control to warp himself out of this situation with a fake emerald. And it works. And that brings us back to this moment where Sonic is left with one option: use that same emerald to override the cannon. And Shadow arrives to stop him. In this moment, the music slowly builds as Shadow opens their conversation with his immediate respect.
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard.
Exclusively in the hero side of the game, Sonic reveals that Shadow saved him. By copying his chaos control, he was able to escape the exploding capsule, and he gives him props while low-key flexing on him. And Shadow is utterly surprised that Sonic was able to pull this off with a fake emerald. You can see the gears turning for him, and he admits that there's more to Sonic than just looking like him.
What are you anyway?
After 2 previous encounters and cocky taunting between the two of them, he finally asks what Sonic is. And notice the wording here. Shadow asks, "What are you?" rather than "Who are you?" And there's an implication here that Sonic must be some biological marvel akin to his own ultimate lifeform title. I could even take this further by taking the line directly from the Japanese script, which directly
Alright, so it looks like I got everything I need. Now I just had to take a couple of screenshots. Actually, just only 2 files, so it's going to be pretty quick.
To know Sonic's identity, status, or purpose. But
Oh, and of
Sonic
course,
being
it's
our hero
the
manages to
idea I'm
reject
going to be
this by
drawing is going to be
refusing to
Lighthouse related.
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
As cool as this is, watching this scene now, the part that stands out to me the most is I'm just a guy.
Are you like some special forces guy or something?
I'm just a cook.
We've spent the whole game hearing about this ultimate life form. We've seen glimpses of that harsh, tragic past that Shadow has to carry, specifically because of that title. And yet here he is on equal footing with someone who says he's just a guy. In Japanese, the line is, meaning I'm just me. Doubling down on this clash between a biological weapon and a free spirit. It's worth mentioning in Japanese, Sonic points out he's just a hedgehog that loves adventure. Definitely more accurate, but it does convey the same message. Now, of course, we know Sonic isn't just a guy. He's a force of nature. But this is how he sees himself. This is his philosophy. Sonic is free, while Shadow is literally shackled to the past. And comparing this to their first meeting, you see Shadow prides himself on that title of Ultimate Life Form. But it was something that he was made to be. It isn't who he wants to be.
Let them live for their dreams. Shadow, I know you can do it. That's the reason why you were brought into this world.
And in this moment, Sonic represents everything Maria wanted Shadow to be. Someone to give hope to humanity. But tragically, he's the one standing in Sonic's way of doing that. And Sonic ends his answer to Shadow's question with, "I'm Sonic the Hedgehog," his formal introduction after all this time. I always saw this more as a declaration as a kid. It gave me chills, but thinking back now, Sonic is just literally giving him his name for the first time. All while the music continues to crescendo and their jogging speed continues to increase. All of this is communicated in such a short scene, and it's so good. And I know some of you are thinking, "Man, Doc, it's not that deep." Well, shut up, you're no fun. But honestly, it is beautiful because these two find mutual respect for one another, but still have to fight for their convictions. And you can feel that weight when Shadow almost regretfully says he can't let Sonic live.
I see, but you know, I can't let you live. Your adventuring days are coming to an end.
He's still shackled to his purpose, but this is the perfect setup to Shadow's redemption in the final story. And with that, it leads to the boss fight, as they're blitzing down this endless pathway at top speed with the fate of the world on their shoulders. And the track For True Story playing in the background is the perfect sonic marriage between these two. You have this breakbeat percussion that captures the more frantic energy of Sonic's run, layered under these sweeping synth strides that are darker and mimicking the skating motion of Shadow's air shoes. I'm telling you, the things that make games special are the little things people don't even realize are there.
Maria, this is what you wanted, right? This is my promise I made to you.
Influencer like Aitana. They call it the faceless Instagram business model.
The owners of these accounts have never shown their face, but they're
I know, little PS5. It's round, it's foreign, it contains joy in a non-subscription format. Let it in. This little disc was born when games had soul. When memory cards mattered. When BlackRock didn't own your childhood. Okay, that's not relevant to this video, but whatever.
Friends detected. Go touch some glass, bro.
Yep, there goes the warranty. You ever thought about going back? Not just scrolling old game footage on YouTube at 2 a.m., watching a well-written video essay, you know, the kind that tricks you into thinking you're being productive while eating cereal out of a mug. I mean, really going back. Back to when games didn't try to enslave your credit card or trick your brain into farming dopamine like a digital crackhead. Even though it's been a year since Concord, I can't help but feel that those big modern AAA games present themselves as bigger, shinier, but they're still somehow deader. Like a taxidermied lion, majestic, impressive, and completely incapable of fun. Think anything's gonna happen today? Not unless the player pays $20 to unlock her movement animations. Was that in the base game? Nope. Modern games. More polygons. Less soul. For me, strangely enough, it started here on the N64, Majora's Mask. Pretty much a warning about what we'd end up missing after the 2000s ended. It said, hey, kid, the world's ending in 3 days, and the only way to stop it is emotional repression through repeating the same 3-day cycle over and over again with a magical flute thing called an ocarina, huh? Wild idea. Man, they should put that in the title of some other game. But you know the worst part? There's no alcohol. Mostly games weren't trying to be glamorous or cinematic or live services hungry for your money with microtransactions and all that shit. They were human. They weren't perfect. It's like your mom. You forgive her when she burns the casserole, but you don't forgive her if she starts charging you $4.99 every time you want seconds. Anyway, while the Bush administration was searching for weapons of mass destruction, Nintendo was perfecting the physics for cartoon watermelons, and I was searching for the last crystal star hidden inside my dad's ancient CRT, next to Kirby and the Amazing Mirror and a GBA SP that looked like it survived a war. It did. It was called 4th grade. But Majora's Mask was that sequel that felt more like a fever dream. It followed one of the most celebrated games of all time and said, yeah, let's make it about death, trauma, and the crushing weight of inevitability, and symbolize it with a giant moon that looks like it just saw you key its car. Nowadays, I can't even imagine a AAA studio thinking it's a good idea to release a game about masks. There's just not enough mainstream appeal unless the masks cost $9.99 each and come in a loot box. And I don't even play GTA, but GTA 6 being on the horizon with a development time for over 10 years? That's insane! Back then, the only thing that took 10 years to develop was a grudge against the Water Temple. And so, to me, 2000s games had soul. Even when they were janky, they felt personal. Before every game needed a roadmap, a battle pass, and a gacha mechanic, games just existed on your shelf, judging you quietly until you blew the dust off and decided to commit. There was a ritual, picking out the game, putting it in your system, and playing for an hour or two before you got bored and went outside to touch grass, back when that wasn't a meme. It was just yard work. They weren't desperate for your attention because they earned it naturally by being good. And the bad games?
I'm off to the boat. I'll swing by and get you, Alex.
We didn't start online petitions. We didn't demand day one patches. We just quietly put them back in the Blockbuster return bin and pretended they never happened. Metal Gear Solid, pre-Breath of the Wild, Zelda, Halo, even the DS startup jingle, man. It all felt like someone made it for you. Mr. Tantris, I disagree with your thesis. There are plenty of good indie games today. Yeah, I know. Indie games. They're doing what AAA hasn't done in over a decade. But let's be real. Most people aren't playing Hollow Knight on their lunch break. They're playing whatever mobile hell casino will reward them for clicking on a chicken 400 times in a row until the chicken starts to look concerned. Anyway, alright, let's take a trip back to the jank, the magic, the childhood sleepovers, and weird controller cables that look like they could power a Soviet submarine. Let me show you what games used to feel like. Young Zoomers, brace yourselves. You're about to witness the ancient art of pressing start. Back when games still had visible seams, and somehow that made them feel more real. Chapter 1. The soul of the 2000s. The handmade, the quirky, the experimental. Alright, so after the GameCube comes out, Majora's Mask and the N64 quietly go out the back door like a house guest who overstayed their welcome. And now, we're really in the early 2000s. You start getting games that actually surprise you. In the 90s, sure, there were some weird ones, but most studios were still experimenting. It was like watching a chef discover fire, except he immediately uses it to toast a Pop-Tart he found on the floor. Everyone was too busy figuring out how not to accidentally delete their save file or clip through the floor in 3D space. And I'll be honest with you guys.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm currently drawing Lenny Loud as a wrestler.
But then Mario gets a little weird. I mean,
yeah. So the sketch of QT, I'm just using it as a reference to draw her pose.
Mario: The Thousand Year Door is one of those games where I still remember sitting on the edge of my bed, vibing to the sweet ass Pedal Meadows music, thinking, "Wait, this is a Mario game? Or did Nintendo just make Final Fantasy for theater kids?" Mario leaves the Mushroom Kingdom in paper form to go on a variety of adventures so creative they almost feel illegal. I mean, he literally turns into a paper airplane. A paper fucking airplane, everybody. If only we had that power in the real world. Do you know if Mr. Tantris is going to come greater projects today? I don't know, man. He turned into a paper airplane and flew out the window during second period. Again? In that game, you get pranked by demonic treasure chests, like actual cursed chests, but they're too stupid to realize the curse is also a power-up that helps you progress to the next part of the game. It's like being mugged by someone who hands you a gift card on the way out. And it gets a cheap laugh out of me every single fucking time. From fighting dragons, fighting a different enemy than Bowser for once, going to creepy steeple where a goth girl shows up, a wrestling championship, even having to buy contact lenses for some dude just to move on to the next part of the game. Is that a guy or a girl? I don't fucking know. It doesn't make any sense as a Mario game. It's not even in the original style that the games were used to. So it adds a bit of that uniqueness, the thing you actually crave in games. Anything, man. You don't want to eat the same thing every day. Come on, man. Like, I'll use a little change. This is the same console that gave us a cel-shaded Link and a monkey in a ball. And none of it is ironic. They meant it. They just threw in whatever ideas they had to keep us entertained and probably improvised along the way. The reason it feels improvised is that it refuses to follow standard video game tone rules. It's theatrical, offbeat, and loaded with strange one-liners, much like yours truly. It felt like someone was actually having fun and pushing what Nintendo would allow, and that's exactly what was happening in the early 2000s Treehouse era, my dude. I mean, how the hell do you play a game like this and not feel fucking human connection? I just feel bad for Mario, I guess. All folded up into those airplanes, working overtime for a paycheck that's basically coins he found on the street. Dude deserves hazard pay at this point. So tell me when the sadness started. They have flattened me, Doc. Turned me into a brochure. I basically dated a ghost. Once I fought a blanket pretending to be a ghost. I don't know who I am anymore. Oh yeah? At least you didn't get romantic with a real-life woman while looking like a rejected mascot for a cereal box. Oh yeah, I remember her. Forget her name, but she was nice. Her name was Elise, and she deserved better, Mario. Okay. Gonna mark the both of you as unresolved. But we're not done with Mario yet. Rogueport wasn't the only new location he ended up visiting. There was also Delfino Plaza, that little island in the middle of who the fuck knows where. Another weird 2000s buffet of experimentation that I'm sorry, you're just not gonna see from a modern AAA studio anymore. Like Mario Sunshine, where Mario is literally tried in an international court of law for crimes he didn't commit. That is the fucking plot. Mario gets framed by a shadow doppelganger and your punishment is basically community service with a super soaker strapped to your back. And somehow it's still a game more cheery than 90% of modern games and my last birthday party. I invited all of my favorite characters to the bar, and the only one that showed up was the fucking moon. Hey, don't bring me into your sad boy arc. Mario's rocking a short sleeve shirt, Peach is looking good, the fruit weirdly appetizing, except the durian. It's pretty gross, like if a pineapple and an onion had a baby in a locker room. Compared to the jagged polygon horror show of Mario 64, yeah, I'm not gonna complain. Mario, I love you, but yikes, man. The 90s did you dirty. Your nose had more corners than a stop sign. Still a good game, though. That era hit this sweet spot where everything still felt magical, but also real enough that you can imagine yourself being there, too. I've got way too many memories of just sitting in front of the TV playing those games, while my mom and dad were probably in the next room worrying about why I had zero interest in sports or basically anything. In that game, even characters that normally don't talk to you. Even Bowser and his son. Kind of. Actually, you know what? Forget I said that. That part was kind of bad. Like divorced dad trying to bond with his kid over a fishing trip. Kind of bad. But seriously, can anyone think of a Mario game that took this many cheesy, unhinged risks? No. I know, right? Also, thanks for ruining my childhood.
Sir, is there a pressurized water device?
It's for cleaning up the mess.
Then why don't you use it to clean up your record, scumbag? My wife left me because of a guy like you. Said he was just here to clean things up. Never saw my kids again. She took the house. My dog. She doesn't even like dogs. She took my fucking dog!
Well, maybe if you weren't such a dirty little bitch, she'd still be around.
Oh yeah? Nice mustache. Why doesn't it match your hair? Arrest this jitteroon.
Alright, tase him.
Wow! Super Mario Sunshine, now with consequences. So basically all these games I've been talking about just let you explore your own imagination. You were left to your own devices, literally for better or for worse. Sure, you can hop on a game forum if you wanted to figure out what the hell was going on, but with that old dial-up internet, which died in the early 2000s like a pioneer succumbing to dysentery, old games were intimate because you were the one playing them. You, my friend, got to play with yourself. And there's nothing better than that. No goddamn Ethernet cable was gonna wedge itself between you and your after-school best friend, unless you were into that, in which case different genre. To the golden peak, games that felt like events. There was a moment, just a moment when games leveled up and didn't sell their soul to do it. When polish meant personality. When scale didn't mean bloat, it meant scope. Now we got cope. So obviously we're still in the early 2000s, believe it or not, but this is when the adventure games hit. The milestones we all remember, not just personal childhood moments, but major events that still get brought up like they were moon landings. Metroid Prime didn't need cutscenes to be cool. It was running off the fumes of Super Metroid, which had come out 7 years earlier, a long time back then, when we still measured years in summers and not presidential terms. I was terrified of this game as a kid. The visor told the story. Seeing Samus's reflection wasn't just a cool detail, it was a subtle reminder that you were the one human on some lonely rock in deep space. You'd walk past ancient ruins and your own reflection would just stare back at you like, hey, maybe a space pirate's gonna jump at you and fuck you up. That's detail. That's respect. That's what it feels like when someone gives a shit. And since it was still pre-internet for most of us, you didn't get a little notification in the corner saying, achievement unlocked! Used brain instead of watching a 12-minute YouTube walkthrough. No, you got lost for 3 hours, 4 hours, fucking 5 hours, contemplated your own mortality and eventually found the door by accident. And you loved it. Metroid Prime had that immense immersive feeling that few, if any, games really nailed at the time. Sure, Dead Space blew up later in the decade, but getting lost on a planet in first person, that was barely a thing until Prime came along. And as an elementary school student, the combination of scanning alien ruins for fun, random pop-ups, and hostile creatures trying to murder you, all while knowing there isn't a single human anywhere to help you, yeah, that fucks you up a little bit. It's like the world's loneliest field trip, except the chaperones are 8-foot lizards with plasma rifles. I was always more partial to more traditional adventure games, though, the ones where if something tried to kill you, at least it had the decency to do it in third person. Enter Wind Wacker, the game that said, hey, what if we made Zelda look like a Studio Ghibli fever dream and set it on a flooded world where your main method of transportation is a talking boat who won't shut the hell up? People lost their minds when they first saw it. Where's Granny Ocarina of Time Link? Where did he go? Don't worry, dude. Nintendo will cave in 3 years later with Twilight Princess, and you'll just find something else to complain about. Why is he a bobblehead now? Is this an episode of Arthur? But here's the thing. Wind Waker didn't care. Miyamoto didn't like it, but I don't know. fucking. He was out here painting sunsets in watercolor while the rest of us were still figuring out how to rotate the camera without throwing up. That ocean felt infinite until you slammed face to face into the invisible wall at the end of the map. Harder to get past than your girlfriend's body count, but mysterious, full of storms, secrets, and judgmental fish who draw you maps while roasting your fashion sense. Like, yeah, thanks for the chart tingle, but you're literally naked except for the full body spandex. Every island you discovered felt like cracking open a tiny bottle full of whimsy, lore, and occasional bomb puzzles. For the 2000s, that kind of exploration was pretty neat. And if you grew up in the city like me, having the whole world to explore in your room made up for not being able to go outside during the day. Hey, did I mention I'm from Milwaukee? Like in Metroid, you were alone, you were tiny, but you were carving your own myth across a distant world somewhere deep in the universe. And yeah, the sailing was slow, but they fixed that with the Wii U version, ironically after the 2000s had already ended. And the Triforce Shard quest, that made you question the value of time. So does work. So does life. But I'd still rather spend a quiet hour drifting across cell-shaded seas than fast traveling through another open-world checklist simulator brought to you by insert corporate studio here. Wind Waker dared to breathe. Honestly, I need to breathe. Okay, good script. This is a good script. To look different, to feel different from Ocarina and Majora. It didn't even need to impress you. You get lost in it anyway. And sometimes it was the little moments that stuck with you. Like Nintendo always making you save up money early in the game just to progress, which is kind of charming until you realize they were basically training us for adulthood. Congrats, kid! You've unlocked the power of rent. Oh, hey, looking for a sale, are we, Sonny? Something to catch that wind. Escape your hometown, maybe outrun the debt you inherited from a father who collected bottle caps instead of savings. What? No, just trying to advance the plot. 200 rupees, and for a limited time, I'll throw in the illusion of free will. So do I get to choose anything? You just did, Sonny. Now pay up. Alright, spent my college fund on a tarp. Free market is undefeated. But outside of adventure games like Wind Waker, you had your little spin-off games like Super Smash Brothers. This wasn't just some party game. It was a rite of passage. That intro sequence, dun 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 dun. That was our Super Bowl. If you didn't scream, "Oh shit!" when Mewtwo showed up, you weren't born yet. People born after 2010 aren't real. Shut up. And with that new YouTube ID law, which if I plan things right is probably starting around this week, yeah, they really aren't. Alright, this is the generational test. You see Mewtwo, you say Scrutly Mutley. And if you don't, I call Child Protective Services. And not the friendly kind. Is that like a Fortnite skin? Why is
Yeah, I gotta say, this sketch is coming along very nicely, yeah.
And when Brawl came out in 2008,
Yeah, I still gotta fix a few things, but I'm just gonna focus on the rough sketch first.
Is fucking Kingdom Hearts guy gonna be in this game? Is there gonna be? No, they're not. But you bought the game anyway. And the internet was like, why is he all floaty? What happened to Melee? And then collectively forgot about it while Melee became the permanent standard in Smash tournaments worldwide. Smash was that big, that much of a cultural phenomenon. And then they kind of fumbled the bag. I think what started to happen in the late 2000s is that gaming got more and more mainstream. And with mainstream appeal came executives trying to bottle it, sell it, and put it on the shelf next to Funko Pops. Suddenly, fewer and fewer risks could be taken. Games started to look like they do now, polished, focus tested, recognizable, and built to sell fucking Smash Brothers, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, pretty much any popular series is on its 4th or 5th iteration, and because of that, they get more streamlined, smoother, safer, and in the process, they lose that chaotic human quality they had when they first showed up. Not a hot take. I still enjoy a lot of the new releases, but man, it's noticeable how janky and stupidly fun Melee was in hindsight. It was like playing tag on a trampoline with your cousins. Dangerous, unregulated, and somebody's definitely leaving with a bloody nose, but that's why you remember it. Like I said, by the end of the decade, things were starting to look more like they do now. Uncharted 2 was basically a playable Hollywood blockbuster on your PS3. The moment you realized video games could do set pieces bigger than actual movies, but it didn't forget to be fun. Nate was climbing shit, he was quipping, he was us, but with better upper body strength and who knows, man, insurance. The craziest thing about Uncharted 2 for me was that I'd actually forget I was playing a video game sometimes. The pacing just carried you. Sure, it was linear, but in that oh my god, what's next kind of way. That gets you clutching the controller like it's a live grenade. Very different from Metroid Prime, where the design philosophy was basically, hey, you want to know the story? Cool, go read it off a haunted wall while everything in the galaxy actively tries to kill you.
Optical surface identified. Reflection not found. Either you are a ghost, or this mirror is a dick.
You didn't binge them, you remembered where you were. They were made by humans who knew how to ship something big, but still human. And don't get me wrong, I love Uncharted. It's one of my favorite series, but I didn't discover it until closer to high school. By then, games had shifted. They didn't really want you to explore anymore. They wanted you to follow the story they built and just move the controller in exactly the right way so the movie could keep playing. It gave you the illusion of choice, the illusion that you made something cool happen. And to be fair, sometimes they nailed it. You'd press one button and Nate would leap across a collapsing bridge while quipping about Sully, and you were there like, hell yeah! I did that, even though deep down you know the game would have done it if you dropped the controller to go microwave a Hot Pocket. Well, you see, since I'm still a zoomer and I'm not old enough to remember the good old days perfectly, there are just a couple of things I can't speak on. Sam, my king, the youth demands wisdom.
Well, boy, you ready for me to tell you about the golden age of gaming? In all seriousness, gaming in the early 2000s really was the golden era. We didn't have Twitch or Discord, we had sleepovers, legit ones. 4 sweaty dudes in a basement with a 2 liter of Mountain Dew, a dozen Tangled controllers, and someone's mom yelling, "Shut the fuck up!" at 3 a.m. LAN parties? Try dragging a CRT TV across town with an original Xbox like a caveman who just beat up his wife. And when you do finally land that headshot on a friend, it is honestly more satisfying than the first time you gooned to a shitty GIF on dial-up internet. And before online matchmaking, honestly, the most manly thing you could do was teabag your friend while looking him in the eyes. It was indeed very personal. That's real gaming. And a personal vendetta you're gonna carry against your childhood friends for the next 20 years. And God forbid somebody trip over a power cord and ruin the game for everyone. That literally meant war. No saves, no checkpoints, just friendship ruining rage. Simpler times, man, simpler times.
Chapter 3. The line crossed when games became art and lost something. Alright, so I just alluded to this a little bit, but you ever notice how games stopped feeling like games and it started feeling more like movies? Like one day we all woke up and we weren't playing anymore. We were being shown something. It's like sitting in the back row of a theater, politely clapping for the director, except you've got a controller in your hands and it only lights up every 10 minutes to say, press X to keep pretending you're involved. Or worse, press X to not die. Which is exactly how I approach every Monday morning. I guess I can't technically count this, but Metal Gear Solid 1, and 2 to be honest, were full of fever dreams, government conspiracies, nuclear-equipped mechs, a psychic boss who reads your memory card. It was
Yeah,
chaos,
thank you, Turtle.
controlled chaos.
Yeah, I know for a fact that the sketch of Lenny is gonna come out much better during the sketch, the clean sketch phase. Yeah, so far, I mean, I have all the details like settled in. Yeah, so I think now's a good time for me to start cleaning it up.
Who also happens to have the best rasp ever heard in an English dub. These games are so dense with convoluted storylines that I can only say so much before my brain turns into a mission briefing. But when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out in 2000, they were so deliberate about keeping Raiden a secret from the public that they literally edited the trailers to show Snake kicking ass in levels that ended up being Raiden's. That's like if the Dark Knight trailer swapped out Christian Bale for a CGI Alfred halfway through the movie. Fucking possible today. Borderline financial suicide for a studio, but Kojima didn't give a single fuck. It mixes magical realism with military jargon in a way that shouldn't work, but somehow does. Snake is the tortured war guy with a better mullet than your dad in the 80s. Haunted by his past and grounded by his urge to kick ass and stop evil. It's like if James Bond was written in 2003 by a Japanese schizo with a camcorder and a dream. Oh wait, that's literally what happened. Snake! You're hallucinating again. There's no invisible psychic reading your memory card. Then how the hell does he know I play Animal Crossing?
Tell me, Snake, why haven't you paid off your loan to Tom Nook?
Because he said the interest rate was friendly. Wait, Snake, I thought this was a PS1. Crap, maybe he's real. No one escapes the house payment. What? Snake! But here's the thing, the 2000s roll on and Metal Gear Solid gets 3 really kick-ass sequels. MGS2 is so good, it honestly deserves its own video of me just gushing about it for an hour. And 3. Come on, man. Snake Eater? Then you get 4, which is obviously a bit of a mess, but still fun for the fans to look back on.
I used to be an anime otaku.
But then we have to wait all the way to 2015 for Metal Gear Solid 5. And it was beautiful, polished, or so we thought. precise, empty. It's like someone took a masterpiece and ran it through corporate HR and then rushed it out the door faster than Konami can sell a pachinko machine. Snake still mumbles, but now he's doing it while managing a bass with a completely different voice, and look, it was just peak emotional gaslighting. Not my Snake. Still a good game though. And unlike Metroid Prime, this is where games started getting big, but so big that the world started to sometimes feel empty. You could get lost in it, but it just felt different. Too much emphasis on the player to figure it out in a world full of copy-paste objectives. I suppose Breath of the Wild kind of figured this shit out, but rescue missions are fine and all, but the original Metal Gear appeal for me was balancing tight gameplay with anime-level brain-melting cutscenes. MGS5 had a handful, but compared to MGS4, man, it felt like two separate games glued together. Gameplay over here, cutscene over there, not like Uncharted where it bleeds together, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that style, but there's a nice shittiness about watching 20 minutes of character building over stock footage and a codec screen that we kind of lost. Probably because it wasn't appealing enough to the lowest common denominator. To me, while graphics kept improving, the heart and soul of a lot of games felt watered down. Metroid Prime's world was open, but not so absurdly huge that you'd notice a lack of meaningful discoveries. Somewhere along the way, we stopped playing missions and started filing out the gamer equivalent of paperwork. Alright boss, before we talk nukes, let's address the elephant in the cafeteria. Someone's been abusing protein rations again. I killed a man with a yo-yo last week, cause. We'll get to that. Also, team building paintball this Friday. Mandatory. Am I still truly a soldier? You're an employee, boss. Stop calling me. I think this is where everything really started to feel different. I know MGS5 technically came out afterward, but spiritually, The Last of Us feels way more relevant to the era of modern AAA games. MGS5 didn't have many cutscenes, so I'll give it that, but The Last of Us, beautiful. Emotional. It made people cry. It proved games could tell stories like movies. Real, emotional stories, not just like Indiana Jones-style quick fests like Uncharted. And that's kind of when things changed. Games started becoming the equivalent of playable movies, emotional ones at that. They could win awards, they can make you feel something, but along with that came a shortage of that distinct jankiness, the same kind of jank that made older games as memorable as the early internet. The first time I played Uncharted 2's train sequence up the mountain, I was shitting my pants. One moment you're on the ground with helicopters chasing you, and the next you're coming out of a tunnel into a winter wonderland with Hans Zimmer-esque music swelling. Like, whoa, what the fuck? Are we doing a Christmas special now? Is Nathan Drake about to rob Santa? I think that nostalgia, that humanity, is why we miss the old times. Because there were mistakes. There were human decisions, not just corporate ones, based on marketability or how close we get to photorealism. Ironically, the more games try to recreate reality, the less human they feel. Probably the uncanny valley doing its thing. And again, The Last of Us is an amazing game. I'm just pointing out this different feeling I've had ever since games started changing in the 2010s. Games stopped asking, what do you want to do? And started saying, what do you want to see? Which, you know, is the exact same thing a psychic says before they rob you. Now, every game is like, walk down the hall, watch a cutscene, feel something, please feel it! Here's a sad dad, here's a photorealistic zombie, here's some, I don't know, rain effects, but did you feel it? Look, all of this is pretty good. I'm not gonna shit on The Last of Us Part 1. Part 2, well, I'm not gonna ruin the video, okay? There's a palpable ambition now, a sort of corporate pressure you can feel in the gaming industry. Sometimes I look back at what game artists were doing in the 90s and think, damn, the amount of work crammed into character designs and environments, all of it, it's much simpler. And yeah, the more perfect these games and characters feel and are, the less charming and human they personally feel to me. It's the makeshift stuff that makes them more memorable. Why do you think people are still trying to break the fuck out of Mario 64 even though it's like 30 years old? Because it's a game that feels like it's alive, like you can poke it in the ribs and it'll poke back. It was a time when you didn't have to go digging through the indie scene to find something with soul. And yes, I'll say it one more time, indie games are great, they deserve a shout out, but in the mainstream AAA world, man, times have changed. And you know it. I know it. And I'm keeping my nostalgia glasses on because I don't give a damn. And as always, Scrully Mully.
So let's talk about new original series that debuted in 2007. Obviously, we have the classic hits that are already going on at Cartoon Network, but this is where we got some intros. I don't know if you guys remember, because I was in 5th grade and I saw promos of it. A food-based show. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
What is that wonderful smell?
At this point in my life, I wasn't really ready for a new show. I had SpongeBob, Danny Phantom. I had everything from 2004 to 2006, with my favorite being Shell and Showdown.
Hey, what's with the glowing?
Now I'm still working on the first sketch request for gadgets.
But it looked like
Yeah, so
Cartoon Network
the
was
second
ready
spin
to
hasn't
compete
started
with me
yet.
and show me something new. One of the first ones that really took my attention was Chowder. So Chowder was introduced for the first time November 2nd in 2007. It's this quirky animated comedy created by C.H. Greenblatt. He did a lot of different shows on Cartoon Network. I would definitely say he was one of the driving forces of the creativity on that show. More recently, he directed the Crisis on Infinite Mirths crossover event, and I'm not sure if you guys saw my video on that, but Cartoon Network did a huge crossover with Ed, Edd n Eddy, with Chowder, with Camp Lazlo, even. It's like not really that good, but I definitely advise you to check it out because it's worth seeing, that's for sure. Something can be worth seeing without being good, okay? Okay. A lot of people liked it too. The show follows a young apprentice chef in the whimsical city of Marzipan, and they're able to make a lot of their plots be based off the food that they're cooking, which is really interesting. Classic characters are like Mung Dal. People still say rada 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 like Schnitzel.
Rada, 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 rada.
Like, this is a really influential show. Its premiere drew over 1.1 million views between the ages of kids 2 to 11, which definitely was me. And it's a vibrant fourth wall breaking humor.
Sir. Okay. There.
What about that one?
That one doesn't come off. I tried.
And it has like this really cool art style that makes it look like a piece of painting is like still, but the cartoons move over it. I'm not a big cartoonist, but it was really cool the way it was done. It was beautifully designed, the characters were hilarious, and it just all around made my day. Chowder is a quality show, and even had an Emmy nomination for its art style, which is actually really cool. And then we got Out of Jimmy's Head. Oh my gosh, guys, this was a fever dream.
I had it and it gave me weird fever dreams.
I'm not sure if you heard other YouTubers talk about it, but Out of Jimmy's Head was a hybrid between a live action and a cartoon. And this style didn't work a lot. Like, it was famous for its debut in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Best part is, they work for peanuts.
It's about a detective that's trying to save this Bugs Bunny-like animated character from getting in trouble, pretty much. It was dark and gritty and proved that cartoons and real life can interact in a way that's really interesting. But Out of Jimmy's Head didn't exactly do that.
Well, this is awkward.
There was a movie called Reanimated on Cartoon Network in 2006, and it was about this guy who basically has the ability to see cartoons after a brain transplant. And this main actor gives me a lot of Ned's Declassified vibes, like Ned Bigby all the way. And I remember it being fun. I wish I could find some of the episodes nowadays, but I feel like even when I look back, it's kind of a little too gritty for its own good.
I know I'm your 43rd principal this year, but believe me, I'll be your last. Most of you will not graduate. Those few of you who do will learn to abide by my rules. No video games, no spitballs, and absolutely no outside food.
A lot of shows have failed at that hybrid since. Point is, it worked or it didn't, and this is one of the scenarios where it didn't. Like, it was definitely ambitious, and I feel like if any network were to do a show like this, it would be Cartoon Network. Like, they're supposed to be the pinnacle of cartoons. And even though Nickelodeon had Nicktoons, I still think it wasn't meant for them specifically. The show's debut was trying to be timed to coincide with the DVD release of Reanimated, which came out in 2007 in September. And it's really funny to think about them timing with DVDs. Like, DVDs now are like this obsolete format.
This is a DVD.
But back then, they really needed to get those sales. And I'm sure this was like 20, 30 bucks. Like, now DVDs are like cheap. Everybody's trying to get rid of them. But back then, people bought them. I don't think I was collecting DVDs at this age, but I definitely had an interest in it. The series had super bad reviews and low ratings and became the only Cartoon Network show disrupted by the 2007 writer's strike, probably because animation was in a different realm, and production halted after 13 episodes, with the remaining burning off in 2008. You could tell they didn't like this show. Despite its short run, the experiment foreshadowed Cartoon Network's later push into live action, so they were trying to be a lot more diverse with their programming, the variety of different things, not just cartoons. And I could see why that worked for them, but looking back, it's like Cartoon Network is infamous for doing all of that. And even though this wasn't a success, it's still nice to see that they tried, you know? This is one I wasn't super familiar with. It's called Transformers Animated. And on December 26th, they debuted it. It was this 90-minute TV movie called Transform and Roll Out, and it was like a sneak preview getting ready for the show. The reboot of this beloved Hasbro franchise was co-produced by Cartoon Network Studios and marked the return of the Transformers coming to Cartoon Network. It would have a proper return in 2008, but its late 2007 movie premiere, set in Detroit of the future, generated a lot of excitement among the fans. Transformers Animated officially listed as having a premiere in the 26th of December, and this show would later run on for 3 seasons and 42 episodes, which isn't that bad, especially compared to Reanimated or Out of Jimmy's Head, as we say. And then we got, unfortunately, a few notable series finales and cancellations that ended in 2007, and this is where the shows are the most recognized, and you're really gonna have your heart broken when you hear about this. So first we have The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
No! 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 No!
Successfully running since 2003, this really dark show about 2 kids following the Grim Reaper reminds me a lot of The Cat in the Hat.
A monster? Where?
Like, there's the 2 kids and then this wacky older counterpart. But in this scenario, they're kind of funny. Like, Mandy is this dark demon-like worshiper, I would say.
Mandy?
You know, Erwin, the thing about crushes is, they always hurt in the end. That's why they're called crushes.
In a nutshell, she's just like this negative Nelly, and Billy is this optimistic, dumb kid. They really play into the stereotypes of what their characters are.
And what show is this we're watching?
My favorite laundry day!
Billy, do you want to be a TV star?
I wish!
Wish granted.
But the world is so rich and dense, jumping between the underworld and the normal world, that its cynical approach actually really left a mark on people. There's so many awesome jokes I remember from that show, and I really want to do a retrospective on Billy and Mandy because this is such a good show. It aired its final episodes on November 9th, 2007. And then they had that proper Big Boogie adventure in 2008, but really it got wrapped up in 2007. The dark comedy really got in people's heads and almost gave me nightmares.
Am I having a nightmare?
But 6 seasons and 80 plus episodes, like, that is no easy feat. It was one of Cartoon Network's flagship cartoons from the very beginning. So when it was over in 2007, it was very much like, wow, this is really the end of the first iteration of these shows.
No, it can't be.
The last episode was El Dia de los Muertos. Stupidos! Another ending series is Codename Kids Next Door. I guess I could see why Cartoon Network did a crossover between the two, because it is nice that they ended at the exact same time. Both had 6 seasons, which is amazing. The successes of these shows are crazy. So Kids Next Door is a popular show about a squad of child secret agents, and it's really leaning into the Jimmy Neutron movies theme, you know, like, of that kids are just as capable as adults. And in this, it's like a lot more satirical, and the entire show is built around that. There's the pleasant kids from down the lane, which is kind of like this opposite of Kids Next Door, where the kids next door are rebels to the adults, and these guys are like pandering to the adults.
Most unsatisfied.
Yes, Father.
And the villains are super funny. Like, there's like a toilet man.
I won! Oh, this
This is rigged! That's my award!
Ah, go flush yourself down a pee-pee hole. Your toilet paper covered duty hat.
This is a family show, Potty Mouth.
This was another thing where they had, like, basically the final episodes releasing in 2007, but the entire show was, like, formally done in 2008. But, like, at this point, 2007 is when they really wrapped creativity on this show. Like, there's no more filmed after this. They just had a few stragglers after.
I need more.
There is no more.
I think the last episode was called Operation Treaty, premiering November 23rd, 2007. Another hit-defining show that came out since 2002. Another one is The Life and Times of Juniper Lee. I've not seen this show, but I know a lot of people have recommended it to me. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. Let me know if you have any favorite episodes. But this is the action comedy about the young girl who fights magical threats. There's a lot of symbolism in it. I know there's a lot of action. And with the female lead, like, in 2005, that was pretty interesting. It ended its run in 2007 on April 9th. 3 seasons was a pretty good run, similar to Shaolin Showdown. It was a creative premise, like, kind of like the kids' version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you've seen that.
God, I was worried that something had happened to you, and of course it has because you're a vampire.
It struggled with ratings for a while, but it definitely got a couple good episodes out there. But 2007 was its final departure from Cartoon Network. Rest in peace. Oh, then we have this show which long forgotten, Squirrel Boy. So this guy was made by Everett Peck. It's this quirky buddy comedy about a boy and his talking pet squirrel.
The classic story of a boy and his squirrel?
I remember watching this show often when it came on, and I can't remember a single thing about it. I mean, the characters are designed
thank you,
really
Gadget.
funny. I remember thinking
And
it
yeah,
was
thank you,
funny,
Mew.
but looking back, it's not as exciting
Yeah, so
as
I think I'm
thought it
pretty
was.
much done
It only went on for
working
2
on this.
seasons, like
But yeah, so I'll definitely send this over to you, Gadget.
late
Just give me a couple of
2007. So it
minutes.
was kind of a modest success, but CN did not continue it. Interesting enough, its last week of episodes were burned off as a part of a special marathon during the Hullabaloo event in September 2007, which is kind of interesting. I forgot Cartoon Network had all these special events where they would introduce new episodes. It was always so nostalgic to watch show after show have new episodes. Like, TV for adults is always like episodic one by one, but like kids' cartoons, like they are like the Wild West.
Let's settle this like cowboys.
You could just get 5 episodes one day and then not have any episodes new for a year. It was crazy. And then that was the end of Fridays. The Cartoon Network Fridays block. I don't know if you guys remember this, but beyond the animated series, they actually had these like adults playing teenagers. It's like a live host in between the episodes. So like they would have like these half-hour segments, but they would basically be introducing new cartoons and they would have comedic beats. It kind of reminded me of like All That if it were the bridge between the episodes, you know? I know they also had a DVD come out. I'm not sure if it came out that year, but it was going on since 2003. So it wasn't like this failure. I definitely don't think it's memorable, but it didn't like not work out. It ended in summer 2007 and was replaced by a new revamped block called Fried Dynamite. You could see the promotions somewhere online. And I don't know, just the end of Fridays symbolizes Cartoon Network's shift into a new era of branding and audience engagement. Tommy and Tara were the names of the hosts. Oh, yeah. They definitely remind me of the Nintendo Minute crew. Kit and Krista, I believe it is. I like peppy commentators that serve as hosts. What can I say? So yeah, other shows that effectively bowed out in 2007 are My Gym Partner's a Monkey, which actually went on for 4 seasons, with the final season airing that whole year, and then Camp Lazlo, which had its 5th and final season's first half in 2007, but it actually finished in 2008. But My Gym Partner's a Monkey was definitely something I really liked. I recently reviewed The Big Field Trip. That show went on so much longer than I thought. Over 60 episodes, I believe. But yeah, Camp Lazlo is also a confused success. Like, I didn't realize that had 5 seasons. Like, that was a really dense show as well. Wow, so many awesome shows were ending this year.
What's going on here?
They also, I think, acquired Naruto, which finished its original run then. So the next thing I want to go over is some of the special events that went on in 2007. We got movies, specials, and the major crossover nights.
Is this a crossover episode?
So Cartoon Network heavily leveraged specials and TV movies in 2007, making the year packed with event programming that was new and exclusive to the channel. They had no fewer than 24 original specials or films that year.
A lot of stuff.
One of the highlights is the Cartoon Network Invaded crossover event. So in spring 2007, Cartoon Network staged an unprecedented multi-show crossover storyline. Across 5 of its original series, 5 aliens invaded the plots of this connected narrative. The event kicked off with Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Subsequent episodes are Ed and Nettie, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Camp Lazlo, and Billy and Mandy all had encounters going on at this time. The arc culminated on Memorial Day 2007 with the marathon and the reveal that it was Blue from Foster's who had accidentally summoned the aliens. Oh my gosh, Cartoon Network Invaded was a fan favorite stunt celebrating Cartoon Network's shared universe in a really fun way. According to Maxwell Adams, who was the creator of Billy and Mandy, the event occurred because Kraft Cheese sponsored it. Can you imagine? It's like having a brand deal with Kraft Cheese and they're like, Johnny, make 5 of your videos, all with a cohesive narrative of aliens attacking the video. I mean, obviously they're not going to ask me to do that, but it's still cool. Hence the connection between the cheese and the aliens on each of the show's episodes. The company backed out apparently last minute, presumably due to the actions of Billy and Mandy on the Moon episode, so the episodes were shown as a special event on the network. Craig McCracken, that guy who created Foster's Home for Imaginary Friend, stated that nobody on board was excited. Oh, that's disappointing. 3 aliens were created during the advertisement, including Skirvix, this red alien voiced by Ben Amek, Peaches, which is this green alien voiced by Tom Kenny, and Glog, a blue alien by Jason DeMarco. During the time of the event, these aliens and their spaceship additionally appeared in a bunch of bumpers.
Alright, is everybody ready for the second spin? Oh, and of course, I just want to say thank you everyone for the nice compliments and nice comments on the Lenny Lauda sketch. Yeah, thank you again.
Working for an extraterrestrial organization to remove brains of people on Earth and cause an alien invasion.
Picture! It's Cheese! He's an alien!
I guess he watched this science fiction movie, and he was reading this tabloid newspaper where pictures were similar looking to Cheese. Later on, Frankie and everybody else, including Blue, are stuck in an out-of-control day of errands and priorities, which cause the utter chaos when Cheese screams, "Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go!" Oh my god, remember that? That was such a priceless episode. Hundreds of times he's just running around, and Blue is using the observatory intercom to communicate with the aliens.
Alright, so let me see if I can bring up the wheel and the rules.
Episode, not one of the part A and part B.
And of course, I just gotta check and verify that people are still here. Oh yeah, and I see your name, Atomic, so I'll definitely make sure to add you to the wheel.
Just kidding. I loved that episode because I love Cheese, and I think every time he has a new bit that's annoying, I just eat it up. So in the Ed, Edd n Eddy one, it's called The Eds Are Coming, which is funny. So Jimmy dreams that an alien spaceship invades the cul-de-sac and carries it away. After Jimmy wakes up, it's discovered that the dream had had a large impact on him, and he is constantly imagining aliens around every corner. He's basically having a mental breakdown this whole episode, and when Johnny states to the kids that aliens have invaded the cul-de-sac and are at Ralph's house, everybody is like, no, there's no way.
And tell if you're delusional or just sad.
Jimmy believes him at first and tells him that aliens do in fact exist and that his dream is coming true. Gosh, I'd be terrified. Naz soothes the tensions between the believers and the skeptics by saying that something is certainly going on. Kevin suggests they go do a check of Ralph's house, and then when the kids do, they find out that something is up. And it's proven when a giant cheese wheel shoots out of the chimney and lands in the park, as it's not an alien invasion, it has to do with cheese again. Surprise, surprise, jumping off the Foster's train. And it is certainly something sinister. Of course, Ed, Edd n Eddy feed into this with the attack of the Space Nose Miner and Space Dancers from the Outer Reaches comics that they apparently have in their universe. Like, of course you're gonna think that there's an alien invasion. This is when I noticed that all the episodes have a similar UFO in it, and they can be seen lifting the cul-de-sac into space. Then there's so many references to cheese, like Ed's weird alien sayings have cheese in them, and then when he crashed into the playground, there was that giant wheel of cheese. Apparently there was a game called Toy Twister.
Alright, so let me start checking.
And it was hosted on CartoonNetwork.com. Oh, what a
Alright, so Elmer's is here, Toon Ant 99 is here, Green Pepper is unfortunately not
like
here.
10 levels, and in each level, the player must capture a certain number of toys in order to go to the next one. When it first aired, the end credits also included a slide referencing Plank as
Yeah, let me just put them to the remove list.
Then we got My Gym
Temporarily, of
Partner's
course.
Monkey. This episode's called That Darn Platypus. A mysterious new student named Rick Platypus transfers to Charles Darwin Middle School, coinciding
Alright,
with
now,
this
so
power
let's
outage
see
and
who
series
else.
of
Mew is
strange events
here,
that
Jake
convince
Corey
the
is here,
he might be an alien.
Alloy is here,
Spiral, and Rick only fuels
same
the
for
paranoia by
Pile
claiming he
Boy,
drinks brain juice.
Speed is here, let's see, Exclamus is here, unfortunately I don't see Carter. Oh hey Dripple, yeah, thank you so much for coming back to my live stream. Yeah, so how you doing?
The increasingly bizarre antics
Yeah, so I gotta remove Carter.
Banana peels from the sky, and a laser cannon showdown. There's like mass hysteria among the animal students. Just when it seems like things are
Alright, so that makes
Rick
2.
reveals to be an over-the-top prankster, and the episode delivers one final twist. He actually is an alien.
Alright, so I already mentioned that Exclamus is here, Total Bravo is here,
This is insane. I can't believe
Atomic Commander is here,
Camp Laszlo is definitely the
and
one that
last but not
utilized
least,
its
Epic
theme
is
a lot
also
more than
here.
The rest of the shows. They
There you are,
did
Alloy.
2 episodes that seem like a two-parter, but really it's just 2 episodes that lean into one another.
Yeah, don't worry, yeah,
So in
you're still
first
on the
one,
wheel.
Strange Trout from Outer Space. And in this one,
Oh yeah, sure thing,
Samson
Drapel.
is abducted by aliens who demand cheese.
What do you want?
Yeah, and I also I also added Carter as well.
And torture him with repeated swimsuit snaps when he can't provide any answers. Oh my gosh. After being unceremoniously dropped from Camp Kidney, Samson grows suspicious of 3 new Canadian fish campers.
They're not Canadians. They're
Yeah, don't worry, Drapel, I'm gonna add you. Yeah, just give me a couple of
Who arrives
seconds.
suspiciously after his abduction and becomes convinced they are the same aliens in disguise. Despite the increasingly desperate attempts for Samson to expose them, nobody believes him except for 3 background characters. And as he begins to doubt himself, he overhears the fish plotting
Alright,
to
so
steal
Drapel03
Chef
has been
Sigmesley's
entered.
cheese.
And I
So
just
he
gotta
springs
get rid of
into
the
action,
void.
But unfortunately, his attempt to stop them fails
There we
spectacularly, and
go.
the fish escape. Believing that he at least got rid of the imposters, Samson's momentarily triumphant until one of his allies accidentally reveals his true alien forms. In a final twist, it turns out
Alright,
the
so
aliens
is
were
everybody
posted
ready
as
for
the
the
background
second
characters
spin?
that believed him all along.
I knew I shouldn't have let you handle the high five. I mean, how many times do we have to go through this?
In an attempt to sabotage the rival fish aliens. Oh my gosh. And they're headed to Acorn Flats next. And it actually leads into Cheese Balls. the
Alright,
next
let's do this.
episode. So
So clicking on the wheel in 3, 2, 1,
So the character
let's
Patsy,
go.
who's like kind of Laszlo's like arch rival / girlfriend.
Alright, so who's gonna be the
international
second
cheese ball
lucky winner?
competition. But after a mishap, Patty lashes out and storms off. When she's alone and rejected, she encounters real aliens who demand cheese and decide to stay with her until the event.
Hey, are you guys aliens?
What do you think? Give us your cheese!
Wow, this is so amazing. Come on in.
Alina becomes obsessed with her new laser-totting extraterrestrial friends, Patsy and Gretchen.
Alright, so it looks like the second winner is MewSuperKawaii. Yeah, congrats, Mew. Yeah, so it looks like you're the second winner.
Allergy by feeding her massive amounts of cheese, transforming her into a grotesque, bloated figure they disguised as an alien named Gorgonzola.
Oh yeah, so let me just put this in the chat so that everybody else is aware.
The ruse kind of works, rekindling their friendship, but the real aliens, now fed up, fail to find the actual cheese at the cheese ball and vow revenge on Earth. Jesus, this is crazy. Finally, the last episode that got involved was Billy and Mandy. The Billy and Mandy one
sent,
was a
and let
two-part
me
special,
pin
but
it
was
as
the
well.
same episode. It wasn't 2 separate
Yeah, for a
ones like
good
Camp Lazlo.
30
It was about
minutes.
a late-night alien encounter, sending
There
Billy
we
and
go.
local bully Spurg on an intergalactic cheese-fueled misadventure. After being abducted and experimented on, Billy brings the UFO back home, leading Grim and Mandy to discover an alien plot involving cheese theft.
gone. And the butter, cheese, even the tofu! No, the tofu is still there, but it looks like cheese!
It's really funny because, of course, Billy and Mandy is the way this makes the most sense, this whole invaded concept, so I like how they're choosing to end on this. The group eventually gets captured, taken to the moon, and learn that the aliens' plan is revealed in full over all this event. They're going to wait for the full moon, become werewolves, and conquer all of Earth.
Hey, what are you werewolves up to?
Mandy, Grimm, and Billy, and Spurg escape through an arena brawl, mariachi disguises, and magnetized moonwalking, only to face off against the aliens turned werewolves. In the dramatic turn, Grimm transforms the group into reluctant superheroes. Green Squeaker, Milk Mandy, and the Cheese Reaper. So they're really committed to this whole theme. And they defeat the aliens in one epic battle. Spurg ends up sacrificing himself by detaining the bomb in his head, causing the enemy ship to crash. And in the aftermath, Sir Raven sums up the fates of the crew. Mandy and Grimm fight crime, Billy remains a werewolf, and Spurg continues bullying without a head. Whew. Meanwhile, back on the moon, villainous Dr. Brainiac receives an unwelcome sweater from Frankie Foster, whew, nice tie-in, and swears vengeance on Earth, setting the stage for even more cosmic chaos.
Dear Dr. Brainiac, happy birthday. Love, Frankie. A sweater. I'll hurt sweaters!
It's so crazy to think about this event not being tied into Halloween. Like, I feel like that is a major missed opportunity.
You fail!
And the way they eerily implanted such specific Easter eggs that had to do with dairy and cheese and alien invasions, and most of them ending up in mass hysteria, it's really cool to think that they were good in coordinating this. Like, SpongeBob never did this, Fairly Odd Parents didn't do it. I mean, they had the Jimmy Timmy crossover, but it was never as intricately planned or needed to be planned as this event was. So I really needed to highlight this when we're talking about 2007, because this is one of the most influential events to have ever happened. And while it's not exciting to hear that everybody involved wasn't necessarily looking forward to coinciding all these shows, I mean, like, why would you? It's like doing a group project with 5 other groups. But, like, I do think they did a good job.
Yeah, I gotta say, this video is very good. Yeah, I think this one is like maybe like 45 or 47 minutes in total.
2007, and it was mostly those made-for-TV ones. Like, we have Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure. It was a 70-minute movie starring all the characters, and it premiered in March 2007. In this swashbuckling special, Grimm and the kids face the boogeyman on the high seas. It was also released on DVD in that same year. Oh, I wish I got that DVD.
Why, God, why?
If you guys saw my video on this, I actually did cover the Great Boogie Adventure movie, and I can't remember if it's like a super substantial finale to the show, but I don't remember being disappointed.
Excellent, excellent.
They also had Billy and Mandy's episode Wrath of the Spider Queen, which was a film-length special that aired in 2007. The movie was set on Halloween, and the characters were battling the evil Spider Queen. The two films gave Billy and Mandy a proper send-off in its final year, and the series creator Maxwell Adams considered them the capstone adventures for the whole show. So it was overall a great send-off for Billy and Mandy. Then we have the great crossover event, codename KND, The Grim Adventures of the KND. I did a little review on this, and while I don't think this was a great crossover, there's been worse crossovers.
It was meh.
So I feel like it's nice to see Grimm, Mandy, and all the Kids Next Door characters collide like this in a way that's not just in the invaded format. Like, they actually had the show's events intertwined. It was a treat for fans of both series and symbolically passed the torch on as both shows ended that year. Then Camp Lazlo had their first 2-part special. It aired in February 18th, 2007, and it was about Lazlo going missing, this mystery-themed TV movie with Raj and Clam taking center stage as they go on this adventure to look for him, and it won an Emmy Award apparently.
Am I crazy or did we just win?
It was a really good year for Cartoon Network. Then My Gym Partner's a Monkey had the Big Field Trip, which was also a 1-hour movie special. Some view it as 2 half-hour specials, but it was a full 4-episode special essentially, because, you know, they're all broken into 2 parts, and it's kind of about Adam going a little animalistic. While on a field trip, and it was one of my least favorite specials of all of Cartoon Network ever. There's just something about it that doesn't feel like it lived up to its full potential. Like, it was the first time we could see the characters outside the school setting, and it didn't really make a huge lasting impact. But it was the series' first TV movie, and it definitely helped kick off that final year of My Gym Partner's a Monkey. If you want to see more on that, you could check out my review of it. Oh, and then we also had Ben 10 Race Against Time. It was Cartoon Network's first live-action movie, and of course, it's based on one of the hardest franchises ever, Ben 10. Like, imagine how hard it is to make 10 aliens come to life in CGI, also make it work on a channel that primarily focuses on cartoons.
Oh man. Give me a break.
Like, it was definitely really well written, and even though the execution wasn't perfect, you could check out my video, it was still a really cool premise.
Maybe I can work with this.
Like the teenage Ben Tennyson returning to his hometown, finding a villain named Eon there that's actually a future version of him with the CGI aliens and real actors. It was definitely a ratings phenomenon. It was the most watched program in Cartoon Network's history up until that point. So 2007 really was a new upward trajectory. It drew in 3.9 million viewers. The success proved that the strength of the Ben 10 franchise definitely took Cartoon Network to the next level and was definitely worth doing another Ben 10 movie, which isn't in 2007, so we're not talking about it. See, I didn't realize how many of these special movie events all happened within the year of 2007. I'm surprised that we didn't really get a Foster's Home one that year because they had so many specials, but it's still crazy to think that not only did Camp Lazlo, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Codename Kids Next Door, like there was just so much jam-packed into this single year. Let me backtrack for a second. The Cartoon Network's first live-action movie was reanimated, but this was the first live-action movie based on one of their series.
Alright, so it looks like I got all the references that I need, so I'm gonna start sketching in about a minute or two.
Also ran a multi-part documentary-style project called Props in 2007. Over the summer, the network profiled 16 kids with talents in sports, art, community service, and encouraged viewers to vote for their favorites online, which was really cool, drawing attention to all these people around the world. It spotlighted 6 finalists and gave props to their achievements. Props was a unique mix of reality and content, aligning with Cartoon Network's aim to celebrate kids' creativity. It was produced in cooperation with its corporate sister CNN's participation, leading to a whole high-profile touch. Oh, it's so cool. So all these specials, events, from cartoons to live action in 2007 was crazy. Cartoon Network totaled 662 new episodes, 24 new primetime specials, and oh my gosh, that is the craziest year. Now let's get on to my favorites, the home video releases, DVDs of 2007. So yeah, we got the reanimated DVD that got released that year. The movie that led into the show, it was probably there to promote it, and that's interesting, I guess.
I think it's good. Well, I don't know if I think it's good.
It drummed up interest for the series that week, but how much interest really? Because it definitely didn't work, given the success of that show. Ooh, then we got The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy Season 1. So they did not have more than one season released on DVD, so this was kind of significant. If you could find this DVD online nowadays, it definitely goes for upwards of like $75 to $100. Other Cartoon Network releases also were kind of rare, like Foster's Home Season 2 for a while was $100. So this was when one of the most rare DVDs were produced. I personally, I think, got this DVD, but it's funny because it's like on its 6th season and they released the first season. Like Cartoon Network really didn't have a set plan for their DVDs. It came out in September 18th and it coincided with the series' conclusion. It also had Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure released on DVD the same year. I wish they just did more than that, honestly. Then we got Ben 10. It was in full mania by 2007, and they continued issuing season DVDs. Like, Season 1 had come out in early 2007, and Season 2 was released in late 2007, so they were really catching their stride with season releases. I wish Billy and Mandy ended up getting a second season release, but it looks like only Ben 10 was successful enough to do that, which is crazy because we're still talking about these shows till this day. Additionally, a standalone DVD for the animated movie Secret of the Omnitrix became available after its debut in August, and allowed viewers to alternate scenes with all 3 possible Ultimate Alien endings of that special, which is really cool. Then we can't forget the interactive media from 2007, like video games. In 2007 is when we got Ben 10 Protector of Earth. It was definitely Cartoon Network's hottest property at the time, and it got a major console video game in late 2007. Protector of Earth was an action-adventure style game where players could control Ben in all of his alien forms, something we've always wanted to do since the show started.
Oh my god, this is all I ever wanted.
It was released for the Nintendo DS, the Wii, PlayStation 2, and the PSP. It was a hit among kids and became one of the best-selling Cartoon Network games to date, riding the franchise's popularity. By this point, Ben 10 toys and games were also a full-fledged phenomenon. Like Bandai had the Omnitrix, and Ben 10 was named one of the top action figure brands of the holiday season. Even Ed and Nettie got a game. It was called Ed and Nettie Scam of the Century. I remember renting this from GameStop, I believe. It was a Nintendo DS game, one of the first on that system. The quirky handheld game let players guide the Eds through misadventures after Eddie's scam money goes missing. And it was a treat for fans because the Eds always translate well to video games, or at least better than most places. Then we have Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Imagination Invaders. The Foster's franchise saw its first and only console game in 2007. Imagination Invaders is a DS title released in 2007, and it's loosely based on the show's alien and space themes, perhaps maybe even tied into the Alien Invaders event. The game had players rescuing imaginary friends, and it coincided with Foster's Season 5 episodes, which was really cool. And online, we had the Cartoon Network Flash games and online worlds. CartoonNetwork.com had a long popular Flash game system, continuing to pump out new browser games in 2007, like Chowder, Gym Partner's a Monkey. They all were trying to use this online server to try to promote their shows. I'm not sure if you guys remember one of the most popular, which was Cartoon Network Universe Fusion Fall, a massively multiplayer online game that was announced in 2007, though it didn't release until 2 years later. And the concept of Fusion Fall was like this MMORPG uniting characters across all the CN series. Like, think of how Nicktoons did Nicktoons Unite or Battle for Volcano Island. This is like their version of that, but they were focused on making it more online than any kind of console thing, which I don't think was a smart idea at the time, but we're still on the internet, so what can you do? They definitely were trying to embrace broader interactive projects in a much different way than Nickelodeon was doing. In terms of identity, they had like a little bit of a network rebranding in the fall era. Like, 2007 was a transitional year. The long-running CN City look, you know, like where they had those bumpers of characters co-mingling throughout the city, like that was when this started to end. That was completely from 2004 to 2006, and the bumpers started changing into the Invaded event, to the point where they were almost fully seen out the door. The upbeat Yes era branding succeeded. The CN City, ended probably because of Out of Jimmy's Head, where Cartoon Network was trying to introduce this new, refreshed fall look. Essentially, 2007 marked the end of CN's first decade style art with this new aesthetic.
I guess I miss the old days.
And it backed up its 2007 content with various marketing promotions. Like for Chowder, as an example, the network sent food trucks to events giving out Burple Nurples, which is one of the episodes of the shows. And it's such a playful way to introduce that character for its new upcoming year. Ben 10 had the National Hero Tour, where the Ben 10 themed trailer visited malls, letting kids try out the new video games and play with toys. Additionally, they had the fast food tie-ins with the Ben 10 toys at McDonald's and Jollibee in 2007. And the Kids Next Door figures were even offered at Burger King's meals and Jollibee in spring, wrapping up the whole series. Cartoon Network also sponsored the Six Flags Fright Fest with the Scooby-Doo branding, and all these on-the-ground promotions made CN a very visible brand for kids in 2007. Wow, what a crazy time to be alive. I remember commercials for all of these things, and I'm not sure if I firsthand experienced them, but even just going over them as a concept is so nostalgic for me. So 2007 had some really cool marathons, crossovers, and significant show milestones. One of the most interesting ones to me, maybe because I like Ed and Nettie, is the Best Day Edder. It was in April 27th to 28th in 2007. It was a 33-hour marathon of Ed and Nettie. In late 2007, Cartoon Network treated fans to this marathon from 9:30 a.m. on the 27th to 7 p.m. on the 28th. It was so extensive that even Adult Swim's overnight block had to keep the marathon going. Every single episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy aired in chronological order, spanning the show's entire run up until that point. The marathon culminated with the premiere of the season 5 finale episode of Fistful of Ed, which was promoted as the final episode ever of the series.
And be sure to catch the last episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy.
A stunt that shocked and confused viewers because Cartoon Network falsely announced the series was canceled at the end of the marathon.
This ends now!
Because a new episode came like the next month. Isn't that insane? The Eds Are Coming was aired the month later for the Invaded special. In fact, the massive marathon was such a success that it delivered some of Cartoon Network's highest ratings of the year. Ed, Edd n Eddy's journey was far from over. Due to its enduring personality, the show was extended beyond season 5 with a few lost episode specials. And the true series finale came in the form of a TV movie, Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show, but we talked about that another time.
In case of movie break glass.
Bingo! A peanut?
The Best Day Edder Marathon thus served as both a celebration of how far the quirky series had come since 1999 into its final chapters. Oh, and who could forget my favorite show, Shaolin Showdown, having the Shaolin Showdown Throwdown Marathon in January 2007? The show concluded in 2006, but they had a special marathon devoted to the Shaolin fans. From noon to 7 p.m., the network aired a 7-hour marathon with all the Shaolin Showdown episodes back to back. Essentially a Shaolin binge, allowing fans to relive the entire saga of Omi, Raimundo, Kimiko, Clay, and more. It consisted of mostly the episodes of the end of Season 2 and Season 3, but it was strategically scheduled Saturday afternoon, because once the marathon ended at 7 p.m., Cartoon Network segued into a Naruto marathon, making an evening treat for animation cartoon lovers. It was essentially a send-off to the series, as it wouldn't be coming on much more, even in reruns after.
Oh, hey,
this.
Tekka
And then in
Cat.
March 2007, they had this thing called
Yeah, how you
March
doing?
Movie Madness. For
Oh yeah,
an
no, yeah,
entire
for sure.
month.
Like Shaolin Showdown was such a
And
good
they
show back
basically
then.
were having
And actually,
every
I still
night
find it to
at
be a good
7
show,
p.m. a new
even
premiere. If you grew up with the
even
action
right now.
animation hybrid Cats and Dogs, I'm not sure if you remember that movie. It's so 2000s.
And make them quake in fear at the very mention of my name!
Mr. Pinkers!
It meant that Cartoon Network was willing to include family-friendly live-action content in its mix of animation. Throughout March, viewers could tune in any night, and the theatrical animated hits and the made-for-TV specials were just all over the place. It even had the Big Boogie Adventure from Billy and Mandy as a part of the lineup. Later in the 2000s, the channel would continue to incorporate movies and even venture into live-action projects, but in retrospect, March Movie Madness stands out as an ambitious programming strategy, something that was kind of new to them at the time. It kept viewers engaged nightly and paved the way for more original movie content on the channel, like Ben 10 Race Against Time that came out later that year. For fans, it was like so much fun to just tune in and see what was going on. And then who could forget the amazing colossal crossover event, November 11th, 2007. 11/11, can you imagine? So Cartoon Network devoted the entire Sunday to a special marathon that ran from 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And over these 13 and a half hours, the event featured was an interwoven lineup of episodes from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and codename Kids Next Door. Can you imagine why they call it the Amazing Colossal Crossover Event?
Colossal! Why?
I recently watched this crossover, and Billy and Mandy and Kids Next Door is a good idea, but it's not great in execution. Like, the way they did it wasn't super notable, but the marathon was cool. Throughout the day, they alternated between both of these shows, like the Billy and Mandy's darkly comedic escapades and imaginative kid spy adventures, each including the series TV movies. Viewers got to rewatch Operation Zero, the codename Kids Next Door finale, and Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure as a part of that build-up. All of it was leading to the big payoff at 7 p.m., The Grim Adventures of the K&D. This official crossover special that merged the two universes. And in that special, Billy, Grimm, and the Kids Next Door characters all shared the screen for a zany adventure, a treat for both series fans. After a successful 6th season run, codenamed Kids Next Door wrapped up its 6th and final season that month as well, so it was probably an emotional time at Cartoon Network. The Grim Adventures thus served as a grand finale of sorts, like one last hurrah that gave closure in a fun, humorous way, like two shows saying goodbye to each other, both sharing the network for so long and finally dying. And then people got a 5-minute preview of Ben 10 Race Against Time, which at the time was a really exciting thing. It was the network's first live-action original movie based on their shows. The preview hinted at Cartoon Network's future direction, expanding the Ben 10 franchise, because I know the 3rd season had just ended in 2007, and they were getting ready for their 4th and final season by November. If you guys enjoyed the Grim Adventures of the KND, please, hype yourself up, because if you were born in this time, watch this marathon, I'm sure this is a big throwback for you. For me, I'm excited about Shaolin Showdown. I thought that was a really exciting time to be a Shaolin Showdown fan, and I definitely was sitting there watching all 7 hours of that. To think that the Invaded crossover event not only interfered with the final episodes of some of these shows, but bled into another month, 2007 must have been crazy for Cartoon Network fans, especially for the ones that picked up on those minute details. I can't believe they thought Ed, Edd n Eddy was technically over with one new episode releasing after it. That's insane. How do you fall for something like that?
You lied to me.
Some of the other notable events that I didn't really get to talk about were the show Class of 3000. The animated musical comedy created by Andre 3000 of Outkast saw big developments in 2007. In April, Class of 3000 concluded its first season, the season finale episode Mini Mentors, in April. And then the show made a quick turnaround, premiering its 2nd season in June. Notably, the 2nd season would be this show's final season, so I thought it would be important to kind of talk about that for a second. Although the series has a dedicated fan base and a unique musical flair, with almost every episode having something really interesting and rich with music, the show starring the musical teacher Sonny Bridges and his friends that follow Lil D and all them.
Sonny, you my mentor. That means I'm meant to look up to you. But I can't do that unless you tall again.
It was just such a nostalgic show. Nothing was animated like that at the time. The curvy lines, there was something really unique about that, and I just had to talk about it for a second.
I wanted to do a truly original, Dirty South cartoon. You never get to see those voices. I felt like it was a great backdrop for what I wanted to do.
A lot of it's based on Andre's memories of childhood, but I wanted to have a very magical, whimsical character that kind of led these kids. The Willy Wonka, the Wizard of Oz.
The experimental approach they took to putting a full music video in almost every episode would later be done by the Looney Tunes show. I'm not sure if you guys heard of that, but this show did it in such an artsy, impressive way. It paved the way for all of those other shows to do stuff like that. But yeah, 2007 was the year of endings and beginnings, celebrated through these elaborate events, not only the TV movies, but all the extra episodes that came from these shows. The network demonstrated its showmanship with lengthy marathons so many times this year. And I can't remember if any other year had done it more, but there has to be some kind of record for this, because I can't imagine. It was packed with nostalgia, highlights, and a sense of transitioning. With that whole CN City bumper era being gone, that was a part of Cartoon Network that I so closely identified with. It almost felt like I was outgrowing the network and they were the ones telling me that. It was just so depressing to think about. But I like thinking about where it went. It definitely didn't fail by any means, and there was some really impressive series that came after this. But for now, it's kind of fun to just look back and remember this one specific year. This year should have gotten a medal, because it was definitely one of the most influential. From Ed, Edd n Eddy's fake farewell to the actual farewell of Billy and Mandy and the Kids Next Door crossover, each event was crazy. There's so much more to get into, and I've barely scratched the surface. With Cartoon Network having such a bleak future right now, it's important to remember what these times meant to us. It's not necessarily about saving what they're gonna be, it's about preserving what they were, reliving the memories and letting that almost be honored. I'm sure Cartoon Network didn't expect these marathons to be remembered so far into the future, but if they knew that their legacy was on the line, I think they would have given a little more care into it. But you know what? It was fan service for sure. I don't feel like it could have been better. I just feel like, I just wish I enjoyed it more when it was on. You guys should totally check out my 2007 retrospective on Nickelodeon. And it wasn't a coincidence. I just think both of these networks happened to have the best year in 2007. Maybe because that's exactly when I was paying attention, and then after I wasn't anymore. But there's something about these kids networks coming up with things in 2007 that just made it all gold. But do you guys have like a better year you could think of, or what are you the most nostalgic for? I'm curious to hear 2000s babies' opinions, because obviously the 3-year difference kind of matters, and I'm curious to see where that is. Thank you guys so much for watching Johnny 2000, and make sure you're liking, subscribing, and just thank you guys so much for your support. Like, I love doing what I'm doing for a living, and it is amazing, and I couldn't do it without you guys. So until next time, everybody, this is Johnny 2000 signing off.
Cartoons always refine their art style the longer they go on. For example, Gumball went through some adjustments in the first 3 seasons before finally locking in, as they continued to experiment and land on a look that made production easier while keeping the characters as expressive as possible. The Fairly Odd Parents also comes to mind when I think of a show that evolved from a looser style to something more consistent and iconic. But sometimes, when you least expect it, a cartoon will switch things up completely, finding a new style that makes things a little easier on the artist, while reminding the audience that their trust can be shattered and betrayed at any moment. Kinda like this. A few weeks ago, I broke down when the animation in a show can change for better or worse, and all the reasons why, which y'all seem to really like. So today, I want to take a look at the other thing that can make or break a cartoon. It's art style. Taking a gander at some of the most infamous changes, some changes throughout franchises, good or bad, the reasons why they can happen, and the impact they can have on future projects. Why can characters get a drastic makeover late in the game? Why do some cartoons look so different between the pilot and the series? And why'd they put that dragon on Ozempic? All these questions and more will be answered today, after I shout out Roundtable Rewind, a channel featuring roundtable videos old and new, re-edited into themed compilations that are perfect for studying, sleeping, and procrastinating as you avoid texting back that one situationship. The latest one on Disney got a barrage of claims, so if you want to peep the Steven Universe or Gravity Falls one, I'd appreciate it. But enough e-begging, let's dive in. The most infamous example of an art style change is without a doubt Disney's American Dragon Jake Long.
People are asking me, what's new about American Dragon this year? Hello, new body.
Looking back, it's crazy how Disney tried to ease us into the new style by gaslighting. Prior to Season 2's premiere, I vividly remember hitting up Disney Channel's website, only to discover that they updated all of American Dragon's promotional art to reflect the updated designs. As if the show always looked like this. Hey buddy, I might be 7 and stupid, but I'm not dumb. This was a change that was really hard to miss. While the original had its own flair, it still fit right in with its peers. It's hard to convey, but there was a look to it that screamed Disney. It's all in the line weight, the shapes of their heads and eyes, the expressions they make, and the overall design philosophy. Fu looks like a Disney dog. The Dark Dragon seems like he'd be kicking it with the likes of Chernabog or Dragon Maleficent. I guess what I'm trying to say is, none of the characters would look out of place in a House of Mouse episode. Season 1's look was like 80% Disney, 20% anime, while Season 2 pretty much looks nothing like a Disney cartoon, as its anime influence is a lot more prominent. The designs were simplified, more angular with lots of sharp edges. Heads blend into necks, clothes are more form-fitting, leaving little room for details like creases. And practically every character now has a little glimmer in their eyes, leaning more into that anime influence. But the change that soured a lot of people on this new look is of course Jake's dragon form. Shifting from tall and jacked to relatively small and slender. He went from fitness goals to how I was built on Adderall. What gives? Well, we have a play-by-play of what went down from executive producer Steve Loader, who made this change in the first place. Unearthed from the lost civilization, known as the American Dragon message boards. Way back when Jeff Good created American Dragon and brought it to Disney, he was paired with 2 artists, the ultra nice guy Dave Filoni, and me. I was going to produce and direct the pilot, so Jeff and I worked on creating Jake's world. It was a little different then. We came up with the original designs and look of the show, and much of that look still exists in the first season. Time passed, things happened, and another ultra nice guy was brought in to direct the show, Chris Roman. Chris took my designs and made it his own, like any talented artist would. Time passed again, and I was asked to direct and produce the new season of Amdrag. I had a difficult task ahead of me. The ratings for Drag were good, but they could be better. It's a great show, but it needed a fresh new outlook to bring in people that may not tune in to a second season of a running show. I wanted to pull the show in a different direction. We needed a new look to suit the new style of storytelling we wanted to tell. The show was to become more cinematic, more designed, and I wanted to apply new rules to the world of Jake. So I pulled out the original designs from way back, and I looked at the fine work that Chris Roman had done, and I analyzed it. I wanted to make the show that Jeff and I envisioned at the very beginning. I hired a brilliant character designer, Eric White, whose previous claim to fame was the terrific designs for the as yet unseen Buffy the Vampire Slayer animated series and the comic book illustrations for the OC. I also wanted to create a new logic. The Jake Dragon design was a big concern. Jake is a 14 to 16-year-old boy. He is short and kinda scrawny. When he transforms into a dragon, he would transform into a 14 to 16-year-old short and scrawny dragon. Dragon muscles would not pop up from nowhere. He still needs to grow into an adult dragon. I would love the show to last forever, and you would watch Jake grow and mature into the big bad dragon that he is. If I started as a fully buff and ripped dragon, we would have nowhere to evolve to. That was logic that makes sense to me. Changing these designs took a lot of thought and care. So in essence, the style of the show has somewhat evolved into the original idea that Jeff and I had in the first place. And he's spittin'. If you look at concept art, it does align a bit more with the angular designs found in the second season. I know it's unusual that a show has a running change in style, but it has been done before. Bruce Timm's Batman is a perfect example of how a style shifted into the definitive version of how we now remember a TV series. Definitive? Calm down, my guy. We also took great care in how the animation actually moves. The acting is more
thank you, Mew.
expressive, and the creatures are more fantastical. This is
Yeah,
an
so it
exciting
looks
new
like I'm
world that is
almost
inspired
done.
by Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah, I still
Batman,
gotta,
Buffy,
like, give her
Samurai
the
Champloo,
magical hat.
and other most definitive sci-fi fantasy TV. Series creator Jeff Good mentioned another huge advantage to this redesign in an interview with Slash Film. The show got to level up in the action department. The new design meant cooler fight scenes. The thinner look meant the animators were allowed to give Jake more dynamic movements and slicker fights, which was more expensive and took longer to animate. While I really respect the vision he had for Jake's evolution, I do think it's strange that he essentially wanted to reboot Jake's visual progress while committing to the lore and continuity established in season 1. And that's how I feel about a lot of the redesigns. They aren't bad, but they're odd choices to make in a second season. I know Loader brought up Batman, but at least they rebranded it into a new show when they changed the bulk of the designs, and there was a 2-year gap between those shows. It's a lot more jarring when it's still considered the same series, and there are barely 5 months between seasons. Jake's dragon form was the change that stuck with everyone, but all the Hunts clan got redesigned, with their uniforms composed of a purple, maroon, and red color scheme instead of green, brown, and gray. They now all wear masks that expose their eyes, whereas before their eyes were shrouded in darkness with a red glow for the cool factor. While I vibe more with the season 2 Hunts clan, the Huntsman himself got done dirty. He's just kind of a dork now. Why did he have to lose the glowing eyes? He's the big bad. He deserves to keep them. I straight up hate the new look for the Oracle twins though. I get they wanted to lean more into their differences, but they don't even look like sisters anymore. They can have different hair colors and everything, but at least retain some sort of resemblance. Overall though, unlike most people, I prefer this art style and everything it does aesthetically. I get that Jake's dragon form might be a downgrade, but I love how he and the other dragons have color-coded aura when transforming. Blue for Jake and Gramps, pink for Haley, which matches her new dragon form. It adds a lot more personality. In general, season 2 runs circles around the first in the color department. I also think a lot of designs got improved, like Rose and Brad. Although the new looks for the students make it hard to buy that this is in middle school and not high school. That was definitely executive meddling. And then you have some that are just kind of whatever, like Rotwood or the Dark Dragon. The season 2 art style feels a lot more distinct, even if you could make an easy argument for why the OG's better. I honestly think if they just kept Dragon Jake buff, people would be kinder to the redesigns, but it is what it is. Before Jake Long, the Cape Crusader held the title of having a cartoon of controversial redesigns. But unlike American Dragon, there's an argument to be made that these redesigns had an insane domino effect as it informed the look of an entire animated universe. And it all started with Bruce Timm's Batman the Animated Series. According to the book Batman Animated, published in '98, the look of the early seasons was something that came together quickly thanks to the talented Eric Radomski. Bruce and Eric tried to develop a style that looked timeless and and they absolutely succeeded. When most people think about Batman, this is the first iteration that comes to mind. This is the definitive look for Batman. So why'd they screw with it? After existing solely through reruns for a couple of years, Batman returned in '97, now on Kids WB, rebranded as the new Batman Adventures. And everyone got a makeover. Some big, some small, some what the fuck. Was this some weird mandate from Kids WB? Nah, they just kinda wanted to. The pickup by the network was good news for the Bat Crew because we loved the show. Unfortunately, we'd be without producer Eric Radomski, who had left Warner a few years before to go to HBO Animation. A number of other key talents had left the studio for other high-profile projects as well. They were all missed when production began on Warner's new animated adventure show, Superman. While Superman boasted a number of visual similarities to Batman, the characters were even more streamlined than their Gotham City cousins. Bruce Timm had simplified his animation design to bring a sleeker, more futuristic look to Superman's world, and he was pleased with the results. Now turning his attention to Batman once again, Bruce wasn't content with simply repeating the old look of the series, and he began experimenting with the character designs, starting first with the Dark Knight himself. Figuring the years between the series had made Batman much darker emotionally, Bruce dropped all color from his costume, keeping him in gray and black, with an unadorned bat chest emblem strikingly reminiscent of the character's first comic book costume. Once Bruce was happy with Batman, he moved on to Bruce Wayne, slicking back his hair, putting him in a sharp black suit, and removing all excess wrinkles and bulges.
Where's my dick at?
Batman's notorious rogues gallery was next on Bruce and art director Glenn Murakami's list for redesign. They proceeded to slim the villains down, change colors, eliminate details, and in some cases, rethink them from the ground up, garbing the Joker only in green and purple. Bruce narrowed his eyes to twin evil dots, giving him the likeness of a grinning skull. Although more limited in his design, the new look Joker retains every bit of his manic personality, though his trademark red lips would be omitted in the final model. I'm really conflicted on these redesigns, as although I do think a lot of them are inferior to their counterparts in the first 3 seasons, they also introduce a lot of elements found in Justice League's art style. Although the proportions are less realistic than before, I do think that purely from a design perspective, it has much more of an identity. For example, Baby Doll doesn't look like she walked right out of Animaniacs anymore. Now you can take one look at her and tell she's from the DCAU. But I do think the finer details in the OG art style gives it the edge when it comes to what people prefer. While these redesigns were absolutely more animation friendly, as just about everyone has a lot less going on, it fell into the same trap that Jake Long did, where while a lot of these redesigns were good or kinda whatever, there were a handful that stood out as dog shit. My main beef is with Joker and Catwoman. They look so inhuman now. I get the logic in giving Selina Batman eyes, but why does her costume turn her into Android 19? When she's out of costume, though. Need I say more? Joker's also not cutting it for me. Giving him black eyes with white pupils and spacing apart his eyebrows just took away so much emotion from the character, which sucks because Joker's expressiveness was the best part about seeing this character in animated form. How much thought was given to continuity during the transition of Batman the Animated Series to the new Batman Adventures? Were the creators interested in, say, explaining the Penguin's radical makeover, or were these issues you felt best unexplained? No, I think that was all from the desires of Bruce Timm and the other artists and directors, to vary the look of the characters somewhat between iterations. Partially, it was to make it a little more like the new look of the Superman animated series, but also to just experiment and refine a few things. That tradition of visual reinvention has always been a part of Warner Bros. Animation. No one ever asked about Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck getting visually redesigned over the years. It was just something the directors did over time. Deanie, my guy, you cannot compare Bugs getting a bit more stylized to Riddler becoming a Dan Henschel character. A lot of these designs are drastic departures. Just own it instead of going, will Burger King change their logo? Still, these redesigns laid the foundation for the look of the entire DCAU. Justice League, Static Shock, Batman Beyond, all of them have their own quirks, but it's clear that they used the new Batman Adventures as a starting point. You take one look at them and know exactly what you're in for. Hell, while Teen Titans has more of an anime influence than other DC tunes, and isn't a part of the animated universe, it's still obvious that they drew a lot from Timm's later style. And speaking of mixing elements from the East and West, let's talk about Baby's first power fantasy, Ben 10. Ben 10 is a franchise that's known for switching up its art style. style. Nearly every show has its own distinct look, and I think that's for a very simple reason. Each series has a style that matches its tone. It's no secret that Ben 10 is heavily influenced by comics. The show itself makes that abundantly clear. And you know, the original idea had Ben turn to superheroes instead of aliens, but people often say Ben 10 looks a lot like anime, or more so, faux anime. You know, those French and American cartoons that imitate the look of anime. And it's easy to see why Ben 10 fell into that category. A lot of the characters have spiky hair. A lot of the head shapes, eye shapes, and the glimmer within the eyes were all something you'd find more in anime than cartoons. At least back then. But honestly, that's where the anime influence ends. Everything else feels like something that was a bit more inspired by other superhero cartoons. I see more of the DCAU or 90s Spider-Man in this cartoon than something like Dragon Ball or any of the bangers airing on Toonami back then. That said, I could totally see Ben 10 having that faux anime look because, yeah, anime was popping at that time. They saw the numbers for DBZ and would start to see the numbers for Naruto. It just makes sense they would want a show that would be appealing to anime kids without isolating their target demographic. Though Dave Johnson, who designed Ben, Gwen, the first 12 aliens, and so many others, never gave a straight answer on if he was truly influenced by anime or not. That art style really fits the original series though. That thing was a kid magnet, and you could tell it was refined to be as badass yet toyetic as possible. Ben has aura.
I will now drain my mother's life-saving soul and everything with his name on it.
But then there's Ben 10 Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, which saw the story get a bit more serious with a time skip to boot. So the art style matured alongside Ben, leaning harder into its superhero influence as the characters look a lot closer to the likes of Justice League, while retaining a few elements that were unique to Ben 10. And it makes sense, as its executive producer was none other than Glenn Murakami, who worked on a handful of DCAU shows after Batman. But then you get to Omniverse, a show that wasn't as serious as Alien Force or Ultimate Alien, instead seeking out a stronger balance of action and comedy. Now, just like American Dragon and the new Batman adventures, Omniverse's art style was too hard of a pivot from what came before, and it drove off a lot of longtime fans. But this is one of my favorite looks for the series. I think the best way to describe it would be Ben 10 if it was made at Warner Bros. Instead of Cartoon Network. Although now there's no difference. And that's because this style reminds me a lot of shows that are being made over at WB, such as Teen Titans and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Shows that art director and co-showrunner, the late but great Derek J. Wyatt, worked on prior. I'm not gonna waste time convincing you that Omniverse looks good if you don't like it, but if you enjoy the look of the two aforementioned shows, then hopefully you can appreciate what Omniverse has to offer. Though again, these style changes always have summary designs that feel like they only exist to piss people off. Not as pissed as the reboot makes them though. Ben 10 2016, a show that definitely exists. Word through the grapevine is that the crew behind the reboot really wanted the show style to return to a stronger anime influence, maybe a bit more chibi. And the producers wanted Family Guy.
So, what's your superpower?
Kicking.
Oh, right, because none of us can kick.
The end result is a compromise that kinda just has it looking like a generic cartoon from the time. I made a whole video about this years ago, but thin lines, round eyes are the opposite of what I tend to vibe with. And that's the show's look to a T. I can't say much about the quality of the reboot writing-wise, but from art direction alone, it's hard to look at this and see anything more than a true downgrade. They literally drained all the edge from it. It just looks like a preschool show. It's way too cute to take seriously, which sucks when it's an action comedy, which was the curse for a lot of reboots at the time. Powerpuff Girls 2016 also butchered the unique UPA art style and reduced it to something infantilizing. Everyone who was copy and pasted from the original series looks fine, just rounder, but all the original characters? They're just lame. These girls used to jump Mojo Jojo for a quick fix. Why do I feel like they're about to teach me the ABCs? It kinda made everything out of pocket in this reboot feel that much more appalling. Teen Titans Go obviously looks kiddier than the original series, as everyone got chibified, but I actually dig the show's art style. It's just a simplified, more colorful version of the original series, but that allows it to still feel unique. The thick outlines definitely help it stand out. For kids, I think this is a good art style that lets you know this is a comedy, while still trying to maintain a bit of a cool factor. Thundercats is a series that was lucky enough to get 2 controversial makeovers. The 2011 series, which definitely had that faux anime look, and Thundercats Roar, which, what happened to Shame? They do some neat stuff with the animation thanks to the simple designs, but I just don't think it looks good. But I am one of the weirdos who prefer the 2011 style over the original by a long shot. But that's probably because I'm not big on how a lot of these 80s cartoons look. Like, why are these cats so anatomically correct? and the 2011 ones just have way more personality to me. I'm sure all the old heads just clicked off this video, but I gotta speak my truth. And then there's franchises like Scooby-Doo, which have a lot of iterations that tend to refine the original style with minor changes here and there, but it also has plenty of iterations that tend to do something crazy with its art direction. While What's New Scooby-Doo and the plethora of direct-to-DVD movies aren't that far off from how Scooby-Doo Where Are You looked, series like A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Mystery Incorporated, and Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue all do their own thing with these characters. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo makes them look like Schoolhouse Rock characters, while Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue kinda reminds me of a lot of 2000s adult animation. Like, does anyone else see a little bit of Clerks in this? It's a little hard to explain, but I don't think I'd be fazed by seeing an Adult Swim logo slapped onto the bottom of a clip. There's Family Guy Scooby-Doo. There's the one you're not allowed to say anything nice about. You even got the upcoming Go-Go Mystery Machine, which has a heavy anime influence. I'm reserving judgment for when we see something other than this key visual, though.
Might I inquire, what happened to your noses?
Actually,
these sausage-looking dealies right here.
We did it!
The style of Steven Universe's pilot is the closest thing we've gotten to seeing Rebecca Sugar's comics come to life. I'm obsessed with her art style. I love how her designs and expressions manage to be cool, creepy, and goofy all at the same time. The biggest difference between the pilot and the main series is that the pilot maintains more realistic proportions and the designs have a lot more detail. I know I haven't drawn much attention to backgrounds in this video, but since Steven sticks out more than most cartoons, I couldn't help but notice that the backgrounds in the pilot kinda look like they were ripped straight out of a comic. It's worth pointing out because comics were Sugar's first love, and it's obvious that she really wanted to replicate the look of her own comics into an animated series, much like how Jonan Vasquez did with Invader Zim, which was a huge inspiration for Sugar. Of course, animating a full season of television in this art style at broke-ass Cartoon Network wasn't going to be sustainable.
$7?
So they simplified the designs and formed an art style that still pulls from Sugar's signature look while making the most of an animated medium, when it's not animated by Rough Draft. While I know a lot of people prefer the pilot style, and I absolutely adore it, I wouldn't trade the final look of the show for anything when it's not animated by Rough Draft. Revising the designs allowed the characters to stick out a lot more from each other. For example, in the pilot, all the characters have the same two slit nostril noses as Steven, and just about everyone shares those two Link-esque cat eyes, whereas those features are a lot more varied in the series, giving us Pearl's iconic dagger of a nose. And as much as I love long hair Garnet, the afro just can't be beat. It's so satisfying to look at and draw. Amethyst might be the one design where I truly prefer the pilot over the series, but she also had the smallest changes compared to the other two gems. Then there's shows like OKKO, where the style shifted with the times. The pilot, Lakewood Plaza Turbo, fits right in with a lot of cartoon-era comedies from the early 2010s, while still standing on its own. It almost looks a little Newgroundsy, which makes sense, given Ian's origins with both webcomics and web animations. But the main series falls in line with that simplified, cutesy art style a lot of shows in the later half of the decade featured, yet it works a lot better for KO than its peers. This style fits KO's innocent worldview, and it enables the characters to be even more expressive than they were before. It can be wholesome, it can be silly, it can be cool, it can be grotesque. To quote creator Ian JQ, the show is based on the idea of a world of notebook doodles and amateur fan art come to life, which is why we chose to draw it this way. Not to mention the final look has a lot more sauce than the original series, as the line art has a pencil texture, and by the third season, there's a beautiful grain that makes everything look so good. Finally, there's Gravity Falls, which has some pretty drastic differences between the pilot and main series. My gut reaction to the pilot style is,
alright,
wow,
so I'm pretty much done.
Canadian.
Oh yeah, so Mew, what do you think?
Shout out to House of Cool, but seriously,
And yeah, I totally agree with you, Drapo. Like Punching Judy from OKKO is a very interesting character.
Look like this. The characters have more detail than in the final product. Things like the blush in their cheeks or the details in Dipper's hat. Dipper and Mabel also look older, more like teenagers, which is probably because they have slightly longer necks and Dipper's wing-like hair just changes the vibe. Stan looks awesome in this pilot. I definitely prefer how he looks in season 2 above any other look, but this original design feels a lot more personal. More Alex Hirsch than Alex Hirsch streamlining his styles so it's easier to animate. For as charming as this pilot style is though, it's hard to deny that that the final series absolutely mogs it. The line weight, the detailed close-ups, and the backgrounds that make you want to overanalyze every frame, it's simplified, but not simple. The look of the pilot will always pique my curiosity, as I can't help but wonder what characters like Gideon, Ford, or even Bill would have looked like, but it's something I can never dwell on for too long.
Awesome, great.
And there you have
Yeah,
it.
so I'll
I didn't
definitely
get to
send the
touch on
sketch over
every
to
show
you,
I
Mew.
wanted to, as
Oh,
a
and
lot of
hey,
the changes
Kwaku.
came down to the same
Yeah, no, I'm doing
reason,
good.
streamlining things for
Yeah,
animation,
so I'm
but I
actually
think
going
I
to be
managed to
doing
touch
one
on
more
most
sketch
of the
request.
big ones. And TMNT
Before I do
fans, let
that,
me
I'm
live
going
for
to send
another
the sketch
day.
to
What
Mew,
show do I
and I'm
think
going to
looks better
post
from
this
the
to
rest?
my
You'll
Discord
never
server.
know. That said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please sort of like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.
You know, funny story is I started recording and writing all of this down, and then just this entire Animation Plus thing just came out, like as I'm writing this. And it's basically just Newgrounds, Machinima, and it's gonna be an entire attempt at a full Newgrounds network, essentially, for old creators to make edgy, less regulated crud, and it's like, bro, okay, that's really, well, we'll see why that's interesting given the video I'm already making, because we'll see the thesis, guys. But my thoughts on that, I hope for the best, and it is nostalgic seeing a lot of this old stuff back. I really do appreciate that. But anyways, back to the video itself. I've talked about Newgrounds a lot on this channel already, so it's time to go into more depth. Newgrounds was an animation and art-centered website in the early 2000s. The culture mostly focused on edgy humor and some prawn, but mostly edgy humor. But it was a very community-focused website. To this day, it's one of the few websites where the users constantly praise it. It self-moderates but doesn't overly censor. It has never really sold out to the corpos, and generally speaking, it is very human. They were one of the first to ban AI. I haven't posted there much, mostly because some of the self-moderation includes quality control. So good news is no brain rot BS if you can, you know, fart in a minute, but the bad news is I actually need to get good. It has influenced the internet for years. Through the second half of the 2010s, the culture was moving away from Newgrounds aesthetics and the website as a whole, despite most of the animators you know today still posting on Newgrounds. But there has been a resurgence in the 2020s, and also a lot of pushback. Smiling Friends having back-to-back bangers in Season 2, Punch Punch Forever sequel arriving with less censorship from YouTube this time, and Friday Night Funkin' being finished. More of Flash gets his animations coming out. This is the best time to talk about it, I'd say. No matter what you think, Friday Night Funkin' was one of the biggest things to put Newgrounds back on the map, objectively speaking, in the 2020s. It broke every record the website had, and these records were held for decades. FNF, Friday Night Funkin', designed with the intention of bringing a love letter and a way to resurge Newgrounds-esque content. Ninja Muffin and Phantom Arcade were shitposting this game away to fame and infamy. Thing is, it worked a little too well. They wanted to spread Newgrounds, and yeah, they did, but they got the second most insufferable fan base of all time next to the Sonic fandom. The thing is that people dislike a lot of edgy internet culture a lot, and Friday Night Funkin' was very subtle with its edginess, so a lot of kids got into it and got mad that it wasn't for them. This was at least the initial beta versions of the game that most people know. Not only did they try censoring everything that offended them from other fans with the game itself. I can't possibly go into every controversy ever. I have seen iceberg videos that are 45 minutes long, and my take-home message was, actually no, that was all the surface. You did not go very deep into that, actually. This rabbit hole is infinite. All fandoms are bad, but Friday Night Funkin' was extra bad because the audiences were divided, which is the best way to get the worst fandom for the longest time. Not really the fault of the creator, though. The only way to truly put into perspective how bad it and the modding community got was that there was an entire account called Days Without FNF Fandom Controversy. From what I heard, the highest it got was like a 5. The average was probably 1. I'm gonna say 2. Let's be generous. Let's say 2. And this was over the course of 3 years.
All right.
Do the math. Think of the
So
worst
let's go for
thing you
round
always cite in a
number
bad
3.
fan base.
Oh yeah, thank you, Kyle. Yeah, no, it's really nice to know that you find the sketch to be pretty fantastic. Yeah, thanks, man.
Multiply the results of that by 3.
All right, so let me see if I can bring up the wheel and the rules.
In one community. And they weren't small.
There we go.
Either. I mean, most of them were. A lot of them were just kids not liking Newgrounds culture. But the irony is that, of course, the people were so obsessed with censoring edgy
I see you, Draple.
making everything all nice, squeaky
And yeah,
clean,
thank you, J. Corey.
humor to make it kid-friendly. Wow, thank you for preventing me from hearing a sex
All right,
joke
so
in
let me
a
start
game that
double
is a
checking.
giant sex joke. Now the kids are allowed in the game community aimed at adults that's, based on, a sex joke. And every week, oh no, someone got groomed again. Who could have foreseen that? No joke, it is so common, I can't believe it. Like, people are gonna joke about Genshin, Minecraft, or Super Smash Brothers, but my god, there's so many examples. I want to cry. Now, I don't want to talk about all that drama, so why do I bring it up? Because Newgrounds culture came back so hard and so fast that current cultural zeitgeist that was antithetical to everything Newgrounds stood for, from the corporate sanitization, controls by algorithm, no quality control, just content control. It came back so hard and so fast that people who hated this culture saw something they couldn't control. So enemies were made, and enemies were made within because they fundamentally misunderstood the really basic concept of them. Friday night funking, getting freaky on a Friday
Yeah, don't worry,
night,
I see you, Elway.
i.e., maybe this isn't a kid's game. And really,
alright, so once again, this is going to be the third and final spin. So let me start checking. Almaris is here. Tune at 99 is here. Same for J. Corey. Same thing for Elway. Kyleboy21 is. Kyleboy21 is here. Speed is here. Carter is Carter here. Yeah, there's no sign of Carter, so unfortunately I gotta remove him from the wheel.
We at least have some time to have a
So let me take care of that before I forget.
These fucking crotch spawns make life hard enough. don't need. My god, whatever. Moving on. People want to bring up growing up as a way to dismiss any and all desanitized or edgy content, and the people that Ninja Muffin
Oh, I see that Green Pepper is back, so let me add you to the wheel.
Does the Scott Cawthon and just control him. It didn't quite get to the point of leaking the creator's finances and harassing him with emails whenever a streamer says a joke they dislike. Also, RIP to Fiznum, he's a Chad sub to him. But they were trying
Alright,
to get
so
to that
moving
point.
on,
And eventually
we
the
got
game
Exclamus.
was finally
Exclamus
complete
is
after
here.
years. I respect everything
Same for
Phantom
Total
Arcade and Ninja
Bravo.
Muffin did, not only due to the
Atomic
passion,
Commander
goals
20
of
is
inspiring
here.
creativity and
Same
helping
thing
the
for
They
Epic.
mention Newgrounds all the time.
Draple
and get
03
collaborations to
is.
promote the
Let me
website.
see.
I
Yep,
have to say,
Draple
FNF
is
was a
here.
total failure. Nearly
And last but not least, Green Pepper, who I recently just added to the wheel.
Boop isn't for you. The sheer talent and expectations are impressive. It doesn't even look like the same game anymore. When it comes to the discussion,
Oh yeah, let me see what a turtle says. Oh, the turtle guy isn't here. Are you sure about that? No, I know you're just kidding.
Objectively speaking, Friday Night Funkin' has one of the best ones just because of how much it ascended the initial community.
Alright, so is everybody ready for the third and final spin?
Same game. They just went so hard with all the artistry. It's amazing. And also, it did pave the way for more people to show Newgrounds some respect, but it's not all
Alright, I gotta make sure I adjust the spin time from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. To make things more suspenseful and very exciting.
The cultural zeitgeist. It made it very clear at the end of his video that he is trying to push for some more
so best of luck to all, and I'm going to start clicking the wheel in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Alright, so rolling. Who's going to be the third and lucky winner?
Contemptuous, it can be reverent, but it should always come from a place of understanding rather than straw manning. Stuff like Pumnimney.
Oh wow, this is getting more exciting.
Pimpney, I like Pimpney. The internet chose something different. Being a good design that mimics the subtle mannerisms of different shows and their audiences, it's a good example. But things that got really absurd with the newest 4K anti-furry parody, I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of those type of videos. The most recent one was
It's still moving. It's still
I saw
moving.
this on Reddit and had a discussion
And it
with some of
looks
the people on my
like
Discord. Plug for that
the
if you
next
wanna see
winner
people make me mad.
is.
Kind of showcases how people are feeling right now.
Wait.
This stuff has
Wait.
a range of reasonable to insane takes, which makes
Yeah,
sense
the
when
needle
thinking
is
that
still
we're nuanced
moving.
goes
It's
to
still
die.
moving.
Their humor being offensive and monotonous. I definitely see the perspective, for example.
All right, there we
I'm a
have
little
it.
more on the fence with
Yep.
Space King.
The next, I mean, sorry, the third and final winner is Kyle Boy 21.
Not only will not
Yeah,
have an
congrats,
open mind,
Kyle.
but try to play this
Yeah,
into
so it
new
looks like you got
tactics,
yourself
take them
another
down.
win.
Like saying you want a guy show instead of a girly show. means
Okay, so let me just put
fire
this into
style
chat to make it official.
political virtue signaling. First of all, what does that mean? Imagine going to
Oh
college
yeah, most definitely,
and
Kyle.
just being so brain rotten that
So
all of
congrats
the
to the
terms you see
third
in the media just end
and
up barfing
final
out the 21-year-old
winner
version of
at
not only
Kyle
is
Boy.
that pretentious, that's just a crazy leap. What is anti-political virtue signaling? Is it referring to those people where they
Incense.
don't like politics in their media but then proceed to be political? Is that the idea? No one
All right, yeah, that sounds
knows
good.
these
Yeah, I'll
terms.
definitely check out my
I don't
Discord,
like the
and
weirdos
I'll
online who
check out
say,
your
"Less is
idea and
fallen,
references,
we
Kyle.
finally made X-Men
Yeah, thank you so much
political
for
when it
mentioning
never
that.
was." Also, Godzilla's spikes being pink means they're trans, so I hate it. But I'm totally not transphobic. Like, yeah, those guys are weird. I don't see how it's related. Me when the satire almost hits and I quickly have to reaffirm my masculinity with guns and bombs. Or maybe not everyone who makes satire agrees with you. It's the satire they are writing.
Now this would all be pretty petty if it was just one Reddit post, but a lot's happened since. So this part had to be redone for various updates. The creators of Space King and Warhammer.
Oh yeah, so
series,
before I move on
Flash
to the
Kids actually
third
had a
sketch, I'm
copyright
actually just
takedown
gonna
last
get up
month,
from my
even though this
chair
was very obvious
and
parody.
just walk around a little bit.
Taken down by an
Yeah,
Australian
because I've been
company
sitting
due to
here for a
trademark
good 2 hours.
copyright on American platforms.
Yeah, so I'll be right back.
Should be still protected
Probably in
under
like
American
somewhere
law.
between like
For some
5 and
reason,
7
the entire
minutes.
internet banded together for some
But yeah,
of
so
the most
I'm definitely gonna be
stereotypical
back.
Twitter behavior I've ever seen. Not the worst, but just peak Twitter, self-righteous brain rot, hilarious goalpost moves, very blatant, that make no sense. Everyone decided it wasn't parody, and parody was not allowed if it's too mean, because then it can be considered defamation. Australia, get your laws in check. Anyways, maybe stop being a wuss. The thing with Twitter is they see something to dislike and they'll make up a new standard for why that was always objectively the case, which isn't how it works. You can't just make new rules up on the fly, but that's what they do. Robot Chicken is fine because they don't have violent parodies. Oh wait, they do. Well, they don't mimic the style. Oh wait, they do. You could keep arguing about the minute differences not brought up prior until they run out of breath or patience, but you never brought them up before, so you move the goalpost, and your goal is you want a certain style of content to be eradicated and censored. Because it'd be one thing if you were just saying that Space King is bad, or if you were saying the Warhammer Kill Furry series is bad. I can definitely see your position there, though it is definitely not copyright infringement or trademark infringement even. Whether or not something is high quality entertainment, not for me to judge. If it's illegal, that's for the legal system to judge, and if it was actually escalated in American court, I doubt you'd lose. Really, regardless, you are short-sighted to side with giant corporations over independent creators on basically anything. This is the same website that regularly praises people for uploading entire movies illegally. The hypocrisies and artificial rage make it clear that Twitter just kinda hates Newgrounds culture and wants it to die. It's not all perfect, but it would be one thing to merely criticize it, but to actively support censorship is not ethical.
Beataroo is almost Newgrounds iconography. Classic gaming parodies, good animation, anatomy practice. And now they are hopping on the indie pilot train too. They actually got another episode with less censorship than the first time around. Also, in my opinion, it was even funnier. I made a video on the first episode. That video did really badly because I kinda half-arsed it. Whoopsie poopsie. One thing I kind of messed up was the research. So apparently the ban was a shadow ban with Punch Punch Forever. Shadow banned on YouTube. Let me just tell you guys about how shadow banning on YouTube works. It's not even an active ban. It's just how everything on YouTube works these days. SEOs are buzzword people spam so they can actually be found when people look them up online. So a certain influential company, I don't want to name for, reasons, may or may not have destroyed the purpose of searching, because the basic search function just doesn't really work that well anymore. If you look something up, you won't find it unless the algorithm likes it. Does that sound like the worst thing ever? Yeah, it does. Not only are there things you have to guess the mystery, like what the mystery robot's like, there are things you just have to guess if they dislike. I mean, someone could make a bunch of racist jokes every day and the robots don't hate it. But then a little shine on some cleavage makes the robots crush it. Searches, I don't know. Emphasis on searches, because it did show up in my recommended. So I think the shadow banning, I'm a little confused by why that one people made such a big deal of, because everything on YouTube gets shadow banned these days. It's actually more rare for something not to be. I can copy and paste the title of a video into the search bar and I won't find it. I won't even find stuff recommended or related. It is absurd. So this isn't anything new. YouTube has been bad for animators since 2015 at least. They are fighting harder than ever. But not only does Newgrounds have to get the culture on its side, it has to overcome our corporate passive robotic overlords. But if there is one show that exemplifies Newgrounds culture to a T, that has done all of this with flying colors, it's overcome the odds, it still embraces its roots while not being held back by them, it would be Smiling Friends. For the quality of this show, I think everything that needs to be said has been said. Season 2 is currently premiering and it's better than ever. An Adult Swim exclusive made by YouTubers for YouTubers. I was saying Newgrounds channels should be picked up by Adult Swim for years. Similar styles of insane and edgy humor, a lot of talent and experience, and the opportunity to do something they're passionate about instead of a parody of something that was in the recommended 10 months prior. Similar to Friday Night Funkin', keeps the spirit alive. Lots of references and even guests helping out on the team. Almost every episode of Season 2 has had a newer guest animator who went viral animate a character. And as funny as this show has been consistently, the newest episode caught the innate feeling of just the scary insanity online better than anything else, with references to Adobe missing files, using Bonzi Buddy as a frickin' voice, Spamtopia actually feeling like Spamtopia. It took us way too long to get the accurate feel of the internet, but that's because the internet's just terrifying. Take the pill, Pim. The cutesy world being terrifying, general absurdism, and mixed media. For the first time, it really truly felt like the internet has made a comeback to the silver screen. But more importantly, the other shows are fighting a good fight to keep the spirit of free-flowing Newgrounds energy alive, while Smiling Friends won and introduced it to millions of stoners between Rick and Morty breaks everywhere. Generally, I see Newgrounds trying to break out of the stigma of being a piece of outdated culture, while corpos are trying to control people's consumption more than ever, and it's not going well. Yeah, so hopefully this gives y'all more hope if you like animation, subbed allocations, and I hope you have a good night, y'all.
Mouthwashing is a short game with a lot to say, but you really have to listen. So in this video, I'm going to take a close look into each and every character, piece together their backstories, their actions throughout the story, and any subtext or symbolism in them. Almost every character is somewhere between likable and tragic, except for Jimmy. So yeah, there will be
video's thumbnail for your free banger on Twitter, I must preface that this is all profoundly unserious and just a bit of fun. Lighten up. Okay, I get it. So about a month ago, I made a video about the Smiling Friends self-insert rabbit hole. Not that there was a rabbit
Alright,
hole
I'm
of
back.
self-inserts, but there was just a rabbit hole
So,
of information to
let
go
me just
through.
get
Anyway,
rid of
that
the
video went to
banner.
the trend of people inserting themselves or their OCs
There we
in the
go,
clips of
and
Smiling
same
Friends,
thing
and the
for the
shocking amount of effort
rules.
actually put into their presentation,
And let
to
me
the
start
point that
grabbing
we
those
speculate
references
whether the
from
people behind these
Kyle.
accounts actually work on the show. Most of you watching this have probably seen that video, but as successful as that video was, I still felt a little annoyed with myself that the video was mostly about the cool autistic gamer and the wealth of information and speculation surrounding that account, and that I only had time to briefly talk about 2 other examples at the very end due to them being relatively new to the scene. However, one of those 2 examples has been quickly filling the void that Cool Autistic Gamer is leaving, due to his more infrequent upload schedule as of recent, and has quickly become the new center of attention, not for the ways that she's similar to the Cool Autistic Gamer, but for all of the ways that she sets herself apart.
Oh, that does not Mama the Mia.
For better or worse, this is Dolly Dimpley, or more accurately, this is Criticlips 2002. On the surface, they appear to be another channel posting edits of their self-insert, Dolly Dimpley, disguised as Smiling Friends clips in the same vein as Cool Autistic Gamer. But whereas Cool Autistic Gamer's appearance and the quality of their edits is always meant to be a surprise of some sort, Dolly Dimpley tries to act as a genuine member of the Smiling Friends cast by telling her own jokes, commenting on the situations she's placed in, and trying to engage in conversations with the other characters, only for her to be repeatedly ignored because she's not actually there. She's a far more typical and conventional self-insert character in that respect, sharing similarities with a long lineage of ironic and unironic images and videos of people inserting their OCs or themselves into the world of cartoons. In the case of Smiling Friends though, this phenomena of casually inserting your OC among the main cast actually works really well with one of the show's running gags, that being the 5th Smiling Friend. Now, explaining the joke out loud would likely ruin the impact, so I'm just gonna leave a frame on screen for the losers to read. Dolly Dimpley, official character or not, gels really well with the possibility of there being a 5th Smiling Friend, and only further adds to the joke. What also helps to set Dolly apart, and apparently the most controversial thing about her, according to my comment section full of people who haven't figured out what parody means, is her particular brand of humor.
Those animals should not be together. This displeases the Dimpley.
Yes, hello, but I'm not sorry.
Why don't you say that again? I'm craving some frog legs right about now.
Dude, you're gonna love this place. I've been coming here since I was a homunculus.
Since you were what? Say psych right now.
What can I get you?
A walking, talking packet of ketchup? Boy! Freaking dead body and freaking salties! Hey, I'm about to head out.
Hello, we're the Smiling Friends.
And you screwed it up. Wow. I did not see that coming.
Dolly's dialogue, to be frank, is cringe. She's the perfect amalgamation of everyone's collective memory of that annoying kid in high school who spoke exclusively in r/dank memes and thought Marvel movies were the pinnacle of cinema. Her constant meme quips and that just happened comments towards basically every situation ruins every natural joke from the original episode she's slapped into, and she specializes in giving secondhand embarrassment to the viewer. Every clip on the channel is almost excruciating to watch for this reason, if you haven't caught on to the fact that it's blatantly ironic. These clips are very self-aware about how annoying this type of humor is. It's a blatant parody poking fun at people who unironically talk like this. I was gonna make another joke about her basically being a parody of an SMG4 character, but last time I did that, the series fucking ended like 2 days afterwards. I think if I say anything else, then Luke is just gonna spontaneously explode. I mean, the Alan Thinks It's Delicious clip alone features a full straight minute of her making awkward that just happened quips about Alan coming out as gay, while the entire scene and everyone around her just stands in silence and ignores her. It's purposefully drawn out, and this actually manages to make these clips wrap back around to being genuinely funny. It's peak cringe comedy, and I honestly find this spin on the gimmick to be oddly charming. It's also worth praising the effort that's gone into these clips. While there's nothing as insane as Cool Autistic Gamer's Silly Samuel clip, Dolly is well rendered and well animated and blends in just fine with Smiling Friends' mixed media art style. It really sells the idea that she's some lost and forgotten member of the cast. She's the Smiling Friends equivalent to Gregor Simpson, if that makes any sense, except actually in motion. The vocal performance for Dolly is also surprisingly good. No one knows who the VA is, but they sound pretty professional overall. Now, this was basically all the information I could get from Criticlips 2002 back when I made my first video, as there were only 4 videos on the channel at the time, and it didn't seem like there was anything too special about it outside of its gimmick. As unsatisfied as I was with how little I actually covered in my first video, I still didn't think it was that deep enough to warrant receiving as much attention as the Cool Autistic Gamer. Suffice to say, things have certainly changed. Since my first video, there have been 6 more uploads onto the Criticlips channel, and unlike Autistic Gamer, who usually waits for a new episode to release first before releasing their edit of said episode, Criticlips seems to upload fairly frequently and doesn't seem to care whether an episode is new or old. The most recent upload as of writing this video is an edit of Season 2 Episode 8, which is pretty out of left field when you see the previous uploads have mostly been about the latest Season 3 episodes. This doesn't exactly mean a whole lot, but I wasn't expecting the upload rate on this channel to pick up so dramatically since my first video, especially when the opposite seems to have happened for Cool Autistic Gamer. And unlike Cool Autistic Gamer, the Dolly Dimply clips actually have some sort of story going on here. Nothing massive or anything, it's not some sprawling, complicated Smiling Friends ARG, but people have quickly been picking up from the last 6 videos that something is not quite right with Dolly Dimply, and wherever this does end up going, substantial or not, I find the effort very interesting, and I'm actually flabbergasted that they've managed to make me feel bad for the glorified Glitch Productions parody. Okay, so I've just received word that Luke Richigall is dead. Before we get into that though, I want to briefly go over just how much of a fandom icon Dolly Dimply has become over the last month or so. As previously mentioned, the Cool Autistic Gamer has not been uploading as frequently as he used to, and he hasn't appeared in the last 3 clips on the channel either. Also, just another side note, the most recent video on the channel is just a straight re-upload of an old video on Michael Kuzak's channel, so do with that information what you will, which naturally is led to Dolly Dimply filling in the void he left. And while the Criticlips channel is not even close to reaching the heights of Cool Autistic Gamer yet, on pretty much every platform outside of YouTube, it appears Dolly's popularity has basically eclipsed Autistic Gamer. It's actually shocking just how big this character is outside her own channel. There's a constant stream of genuinely impressive fan art of the character, nearly each instance of which getting thousands of likes and hundreds of thousands of impressions. People constantly discuss each new clip that gets put on the Criticlips channel and try to figure out what's happening. Dolly Dimply was already getting pretty big when I made my first video. That's not what I fucking meant. But over the past month, her popularity really has exploded, and it's kind of bizarre to see something like this happen in real time to something that very likely would have gone onto the radar if it wasn't for a completely unrelated channel popularizing this style of content. Or maybe they are related, who's to say? The possibility of Criticlips being someone who works on the show is still up in the air, but the fact they posted an edit of the episode 6 teaser at nearly the exact same time the actual teaser was posted is definitely worth discussing in some capacity. Not today though. Okay, we can get back to the main topic now. What has been happening recently with Dolly Dimply? Well, it all started with the Pim Wants Pizza clip, taken from Season 3 Episode 4. All seems well at first. Dolly's doing her usual cringy shtick while no one is paying attention to her, though she is trying to stick up for Pim when everyone's disrespecting him. When the lights go out though...
Mr. Boss, those lights should be the least of your concern.
Yeah, nice Smiling Friends clip, dipshit. Your ass is going to Mandela catalog. I earnestly love pretty much everything about this. I'm sure some people immediately rolled their eyes thinking the series was going to go full analog horror in the most predictable way you could think of, but it's immediately deflated by the fact that Dolly did it purely for attention and because she genuinely thought it was scary.
Hey, guys? You're all seeing this, right? Hello? Yeah, I was just trying to do a spooky bit to creep you guys out. It's kind of like analog horror, you know?
Honestly, that's really clever, hats off. But this clip is interesting for many other reasons. The text during the analog horror section isn't just her trying to be scary, but it's also her actual thoughts. You can tell before this that she's getting more frustrated with everyone ignoring her. Previously, this was played for laughs, and she never really commented on people ignoring her, but now it's actually just kind of sad, and also oddly brilliant. The concept of a self-insert OC noticing that none of the actual characters are acknowledging her existence, and getting upset over it is actually a really good idea for a short series. Like, I know it's not really that deep and we're just having a bit of fun over here, but being completely dead ass for a second, I really f**k with this.
Sorry, I'll stop. I won't do it again. I was just, yeah. Let me help you with those lights, Mr. Boss. That was really bad. Sorry. God, I knew that was gonna be a fail. So stupid. Damn it.
Why am I feeling bad for Dolly Dimply? This is the Dolly Dimply equivalent of the silly Samuel clip for Autistic Gamer. If you said that sentence to a small Victorian boy, he would start tearing his face off. I find this really interesting now, and wait, did you fucking see that? Roll it back.
Let me help you with those lights, Mr. Those lights,
Mr. Boss sees her. No, this little eye movement is not in the original episode. This is completely original. That's such a small and hard to miss edit, but he actually acknowledges her and then quickly averts his eyes. Is she actually there, or is everyone just choosing to ignore her? That's such a cool detail that unironically adds so much more depth to this otherwise stupid channel. The rest of the clips don't have anything nearly as substantial as this, but over time you see Dolly gradually becoming less enthusiastic and more conscious about the fact that no one's acknowledging her.
I'm Pim, and this is my hiking partner, Charlie.
And I'm Dolly Dimply! You know what's with all this litter around? It's totally ruining the vibe check.
Pleased to meet you, Pim and Charlie.
Nice to meet you, too.
She's lost a lot of the energy she had originally. She keeps stopping herself from talking when someone else talks over her. Not gonna lie, it's weirdly depressing.
She was absolutely...
I miss her more and more every day.
Like, sure, Dolly herself is the personification of Reddit and used to be kind of annoying, but seeing her slowly lose her confidence and become aware of the fact that no one notices or talks to her, becoming desperate for any sort of attention, is actually really fucking sad. There's a point in the Mother Nature clip where Charlie looks to his right like he does in the original episode, but since Dolly is here now, he just kind of stares at her chest and says nothing, and the animation on Dolly's face as Charlie looks at her just says it all, really. Like, that's the most acknowledgement anyone in the cast has ever given her. Even though nothing as crazy as the analog horror clip has happened yet, these 6 uploads have turned Dolly Dimply from a footnote in my first video on Smiling Friends self-inserts into the single most interesting thing going on in the fandom right now. Sure, there's a chance that this is all just a bunch of shit posting for fun, but even so, I really appreciate the effort that's gone into this, from the animation and voice acting to all of the subtle details. And if this is building up to something, then I'm definitely interested in seeing where it goes. A self-aware, self-insert character becoming depressed and tired of all the actual official cartoon characters ignoring her existence, and the possibility that she is actually there but everyone's just choosing to ignore her anyway, is a really good concept I haven't seen utilized much, if at all, honestly. It's been crazy seeing Dolly Dimply steadily overtake the Cool Autistic Gamer in popularity, to the point that they're the main attraction of the Smiling Friends fanbase now, especially given they only really emerged in like early October. I'm not gonna lie, the insane contrast of the clips showing Dolly slowly becoming more depressed and the characters just ignoring her, to the insane amounts of fan art and unironic fans worrying about her well-being on social media is weirdly wholesome, honestly. I'm hoping I don't suddenly curse this channel and they suddenly stop uploading. I'm still a bit self-conscious about the timing of the SMG4 announcement, like that's actually just insanely bad timing on my part, but for the time being, that's Criticlips 2002, and that's Dolly Dimply, the current darling of the Smiling Friends fandom. Anyway, that's all I have the time for today. Apologies for the shorter video. Go buy Yakuza 0, specifically Yakuza 0, because Sega are delisting the game soon just to replace it with the unnecessarily expensive director's cut, and you are fucking yourself out of a damn good deal if you don't buy it now.
In today's video, we'll be looking at another heavy hitter of Newgrounds, Mick Lauer, aka Rice Pirate. Whilst most online know him from his animation work, as well as voice acting in various high-profile productions, his career in recent years has been tainted by an unfortunate string of controversy, including drink, women, and of course, power moves. In today's video, I'm going to attempt to document his online career, stretching from his humble beginnings on Newgrounds and work with Sleepy Cabin, through to his modern voice acting career, and of course the major drama he found himself.
Friday Night Funkin' is a cultural phenomenon that's been out for about 5 years, revitalizing the rhythm game markets with its cartoony visuals, likable character designs, and easy modability. While many artists get their big break playing the game, one such artist will find themselves evolving past the medium to something even greater. Meet Jake Neutron, a blind queer multimedia creator whose works you might have seen around Twitter or YouTube. So join me, Ryan, as we take a look at what they're about to get some insights on their work. Also, I interviewed him, so that helps a lot. Jake Sloan is a 23-year-old artist from Central Florida. They specifically wanted me to mention the central parts, not the lower part, not the east part, like that central. Well, Jake didn't attend college for formal training in the arts. His high school provided a lot of opportunities to create. Learning music, game design, and animation, he found a love with producing. It was thanks to the behind the scenes of the Fairly Odd Parents' Channel Chasers he realized a love for animation. And he almost became a scientist, but drawing funny little characters was more intriguing. Such a funny little character would be that of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, of whom he found while playing Epic Mickey back on the Wii. For music inspiration, it would be that of Steven Universe. And thanks to Rebecca Sugar, found a love for creating music as well. With these inspirations in mind, he would start his YouTube channel all the way back in 2010, and was drawing ponies series that really got him into animation.
My Little Pony came into my life because I found it on Netflix. That made me, I was already kind of interested in learning how to use Adobe Flash, but specifically trying to animate ponies is what taught me the discipline to actually animate stuff digitally. I kind of had a natural inclination to animation as in motion, but execution was always kind of difficult to really wrap my head around. But I had like met some people who had advice, and once I got past a basic tutorial on Adobe Flash, I just kind of like ran with it. I feel like I lingered on My Little Pony stuff for a while. That was just me doing a bunch of like random shit posts, animations, even remixes, etc., etc. Just because I was just really into My Little Pony and like the brony fandom, but I was also like a kid. It was a baby.
During his time on the platform, he would try his hand at making pilots and music videos such as Fantasy Dixie and Reboot Me. The latter would be the first thing on the channel that looked the most complete in terms of visuals. However, what pushed him further into the spotlight would be his introduction to FNF.
At the time, a friend like drawn fan art of me, them, and another friend in like the Friday Night Funkin' style. They were in the boyfriend spot. Our friend was in like sitting on the speakers and girlfriend spot, and then I was standing across from them in like the Daddy Dearest spot. Like it was just like a setup, and that was the first time I had heard anything about it. I was like, oh, what is this? I look it up and I'm looking at mods, seeing like I think I saw like a basic clip, and it was just like,
oh hey,
it's
Ty,
like sort of Dance Revolution.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
But, like,
yeah, thank you so much for dropping by.
And I think I remember even seeing like one of the creators.
Yeah, actually, you definitely caught me by surprise.
And I was seeing some mods that were like going all the way with it, where like they were doing crazy stuff. It was pretty much music videos, playable music videos, and I realized like, oh, I want to do that. Like this is like hits everything that I like doing, especially also like doing game design, like creating experiences and then watching people play them. I just hadn't really had much opportunity, and I felt like I could apply my skills to Friday Night Funkin'. I could probably make a splash and also learn a bunch of new skills.
A big appeal for the game is not only the main characters, but rather the premise of the game itself. Playing as boyfriend, again, you are beatboxing against a select set of characters. For mods, this might replace that person to some IP, or even the person's OC. So if you had a favorite character, there's probably a mod for it. Like the classic Imposter Germa mod.
I made a lot of friends through that too. Pretty sure I'd already known Rec D, but like his success with lyric stuff with Friday Night Funkin', we started helping each other out with certain things, especially musical type stuff. I would like animate on his things. Sometimes he would help me with writing, and that's kind of like, now he's one of like longest running friends and just like business friends that I like work with a lot. And then there's other folks that I might not like do things with them often, but like they are still present. Like I think the first big one that comes to my mind is Jordan Price VA, who, that man, the dude's very cool. He's very talented too. I remember like when I first met him, I'm pretty sure he didn't actually know much about making music, and now he's like one of the most talented musicians that I know. He came up from like kind of struggling with like some of the sound. Like he clearly had a vision, but he was struggling to figure out how to make it reality. And now like sometimes he shows me stuff and it just sounds like it's just from like an official game soundtrack from like 10 years ago. That's fair. Friday Night Funkin' was like definitely a launching point for a lot of people, because specifically it's crossover with everything.
Oh yeah, sure thing, Epic. And yeah, and of course, thank you so much for sticking this long during the live stream. But yeah, take care, man. Okay. And I hope to see you tomorrow.
However, luckily for Jank, the interest motivated him to combine a lot of his loves into one song. That being FNFX Baby concept song. Who would have thought that combining FNF, Pibby, and MOP would earn over 13 million views? Jake did. Pibby themselves would also get their own music video called Hug Me, which released late 2022 and reached over 6.5 million views.
Remember when we saw our friend Finn, Bun. We learned the word cry with him. We learned how...
Well, it didn't happen immediately. Doing mods gave me a lot of opportunities. It was the first time where like I was making money that I could actually use to support myself from not just YouTube, but also the music itself. I was making music royalties now that were much more significant. I think specifically the first big one was Versus Oswald. That was the first time I had a song that I was checking Spotify artists, and it said that it had hit him like had 1 million something. Like it was like so many people watching it at once, or listening to it at once. I was whoa. And I didn't really see the check for that for like another 3 months, but then that check came in and I was like, whoa, okay, this is something I can do. Kept going with that. Dusk Till Dawn was the next big one. That one made a significant chunk of money. It was something that like it was like they were easy to make. I was having fun doing them. I was able to continue attempting to one up myself by either having more detail or doing more ambitious stuff with the music.
However, as you kept making content, you felt a bit of a rut in creating FNF based stuff.
I don't know around which time, but I had started realizing that like as fun as like making mods were, and I could do them fast because I wanted to keep doing more advanced stuff that took more time and more energy. And I was realizing that like it was hard to keep up with it. I was losing motivation on some things, especially because I was also working on multiple things at once. I wanted to go farther, and it was just becoming difficult to have the motivation to want to keep doing these mods. Because like it was the kind of thing. And it's definitely part of like my ADHD kind of kicking in, where like I knew how to make these things. The steps were clear in my head, but it was a matter of getting to the computer and working on them. Because at that point, it would just be work. I wasn't like excited about like this is a new thing I haven't tried before. Some of it were things that I had already done before, and I kind of felt like I was just repeating. Especially because like a decent amount of these things I was doing it alone because I wasn't yet making enough money to where I could pay people to help me, and I really didn't want to ask people to do volunteer work. Sometimes people would help me voluntarily. I know Funkadelic was kind of that, but I wanted to get away from that because once I started actually making money, I was like, it doesn't feel right having people do this work with me and I still don't feel like I have enough to pay them what they're worth. Thankfully, that has changed.
When you find a niche that you enjoy making stuff with, you either run out of motivation to pursue it, grow out of it, or just evolve past what you created before. Depending on your audience, it can be very hard transitioning them along with your changing tastes, as a drastic change in content can and will affect viewership. Though there's always the question of returning to the medium. Friday Night Funkin' is yet to actually release, and since they have reworked the entire engine for the game, there might be something to come back to.
If they release an update finally with enhanced mods, because like the one thing that like the updated base game was going to have that I was really excited for was multi-tracks, because I've been desperately wanting to create an experience where depending on how you play or what choices you make, the music will change. And if there's multi-track where you can like have one track only be fully audible during certain conditions, and then if like another condition is met, that one will go down and another one will come up. You could create a dynamic musical experience in the game. I've had so many ideas for that. That's something that like I'd probably return to mess with, just because if I'm coming back to Friday Night Funkin', I want to do something new.
Sometimes a project might fare better in the creator's eyes if they work outside the original medium they pitched it in. Such a song would be that of Make Believe, which was based on the former TV show The Owl House.
Don't worry, King, these guys can take it. In the shell or hibernating. But sure, let's take a breather. Hope you're a good story reader.
Another such project would be that of Don't Listen, based on the Amanda Adventure game series, the indie game series.
A lot of the skills that I had for Friday Night Funkin' just applies to music and animation in general. I think the biggest difference is that like now, instead of organizing to make sure that getting things into a game is as easy as possible, instead of having to worry about bug testing and making sure that the presentation works on multiple platforms and such, now all I have to do is worry about a video presentation, which with some of my mods, I was already kind of making them in mind that I was going to be making a video presentation with them, and then there was a post-production after the mod was shown off that we tested to make sure that it was ready for people to play and that it had accessibility features so people could play it at different difficulties and still experience the story. But with a music video or like songs, one, I could do lyrics. I think the main thing why I hadn't started doing lyrics with FNF stuff is because one, it takes a little bit more time to get into working with other voice actors to make a song sound the way it needs. And usually I was pretty impatient that I wanted to like dive into making the mod immediately. And two, when there's lyrics, there often needs to be a little bit more visual flair to follow along with what's going on, and that's just easier to do in music videos and lyric videos than it is in Friday Night Funkin', because Friday Night Funkin' is specifically built so that you are reusing animations all the time for an extended experience. But I felt like that would kind of get boring with lyrical stuff unless like you had things kind of going crazy. And I'm pretty sure the first full nerdcore song that I did post, and I think it was still technically within like my FNF era, was /Hug Me for /Pibby. That's definitely like Friday Night Funkin' still adjacent. And I had like written that song a while back, and it was supposed to be part of the finale for /Pibby. I realized that like it would be kind of cool. I still think it would be kind of cool to do this for like, I think it was for the anniversary of Pibby. And I was also kind of in my back of my mind kind of thinking this is probably going to be an outline for how I'm going to do some other future music videos if this is like a direction to go. If people like my Friday Night Funkin' songs, they like those. And lyrical songs do better. Like they stream more, people listen to them, people will sing them. They just do better. If I can apply what I know about making Friday Night Funkin' songs and make them lyrical, I might have figured something out. And /Hug Me was successful and proved me right. And then after that one, I did Make Believe, which was also originally going to be a Friday Night Funkin' song, but when I got the voice actress that I was gonna have do it, I think it's Sydney Osman, I heard her singing voice, realized that she could sing, and it was like, wait a minute, why do an FNF mod when I could just do like an actual song? And I think I literally remember like after they sent me like she sent me her stems of like her doing the sounds that I would turn into an FNF voice. Went back into the project, extended it, wrote lyrics for it, and like went back to her. I was like, how do you feel about like singing on this? Like, what if we do like this is a lyrical song instead? We might still do the FNF thing, but I want to do a lyrical song too. And that ended up being what we stuck with because people also like that. That also proved that like, okay, I can do nerdcore songs about cartoons. Because I think that was one of the things like about Friday Night Funkin' that I can make FNF mods about my favorite cartoons and they would do well and it would justify that I could still make those things about them. I didn't see many nerdcore songs about Western cartoons that were like getting much reach. And I knew that my stuff had reach and I knew that like I had the means and the ability to make things detailed in the way that people want when it comes to these kind of music videos. So I just trucked along with it and it turned out to work.
But moving on from the FNF community doesn't mean he's entirely leaving content creation forever. But before we get into that, let's take a small break before we get back into the video. As an interesting aside, I actually met Jake all the way back in 2022 in MomoCon, and we've been friends ever since. Also this year in 2024, we're both attending as featured guests again. So if you're there, we'll be around somewhere, just lurking and smirking, just doing stuff, you know, just hanging out. Oh wait, we're talking about moving on. Sorry, I just had to promote stuff for a second. Just like my second channel where I don't interview people and it's just me talking more. Anyway, with Jake's work on FNF, he found a love in leading a team. Either for making general animations or music videos, organizing a team to create something was something he really enjoyed doing. And with that, he created his animation team called Team Neutron.
Team Neutron was created around when Make Believe came into existence. I think our first project was actually a Friday Night Funkin'. It was a Friday Night Funkin' mod showcase event type thing. I was already forming it and I wanted to test people. Team Neutron was formed basically because I was realizing I'm making these really ambitious projects and I'm making money from them. I should probably be putting that money back into it because I've been working alone mostly on this stuff and stressing myself the hell out. Like I would be like doing all-nighters to get these things out as soon as possible because even though they didn't have deadlines, I felt like if I stopped working on them and I was the only person working on them, they would just never get out. Like I knew myself and I know my ADHD that if I like stop working on something for too long and there's nobody else really involved in like the production or like the interest like of that, it will just fall to the wayside. So I was like, I need to hire a team so that not only am I getting help and I can relax a little bit because I was extremely stressed out, that there are also other people who are depending on me to get this finished so that like their work can also be shown. And I also felt like it would be a great opportunity for anyone I was working with because I already recognized that I had a platform. If I can give these artists something that help them practice their skills, sometimes even teaching them, and they get paid and they get to be on a YouTube channel that has any form of reach, that it would just be win-win all over. And I could like, I kind of want to set a precedent that like bolstering each other financially and socially in the animation scene is what we should be doing. If I'm making money, making the things that I want, I should try using and spreading that power to other people around me who are willing to also put in that same kind of effort.
Part of getting out of a rut is trying something new and larger scale than he did before, such as me going from live action to this cartoon thing, this avatar thing, way better than PNG sliding across the screen. Yeah. What's interesting about this collaborative group is that in the online indie space, it is something that has more consistent outputs and actually makes its money back. Jake and I have had long discussions about making animations of creative vision while also making ends meet. As much as we love for animation to pay the bills on YouTube alone, you have to do a lot more than just draw. That's why a lot of what I talk about with artists off camera is how to market themselves and better promote their own works. And so for Jake's projects, he has to make sure what he's making can yield a return and can fully sustain his own business. And I made videos before about expensive animation, so go check them out after this video. But this video is about Jake. We need to ask him what motivates him to keep going. Oh wait, no, I already did, and here's the clip.
I feel like I've definitely fallen more into cause I have to kind of mindset that like, not only is it that this is a very specific opportunity that I don't want to waste, but also there's now people who depend on me. There's things that depend on me. There are futures that depend on that I keep on keeping on and I keep on following through. And I can make quite a lot of positive impact just by continuing to be me and to create and to encourage other people to create. And I guess that to me, just like all that feels like a good enough reason to keep going. Making things like media and such has always been like my life. I think I've been saying like this dark thought for a while that like if I couldn't like make stuff stuff. Like if I was unable to make art or music, etc., as like my way of living, I do not know if it would be a life worth living. I don't know if that's like too dark to say, but it's because I've invested so much of myself into so many different forms of it. I can't imagine a scenario where I wouldn't be able to do at least one of those things. Like that's just what I am. It's what I do.
With creating things, there's never truly the end, but rather the and. Although this video is focusing on FNF and moving on from FNF content, he has some other project up his sleeve that he's been working on. With a massive introduction to that of the Amazing Digital Circus in 2023, he instantly fell in love with the cast, opting for his biggest project to date, featuring Jax as the star of his upcoming music video. Michael Kovac reprised his role as Jax for the song, making it non-canon with canon actors. A bit confusing, I would say.
We've been stuck here for years. Old Kinger over there's supposedly been here the longest.
Along with that is his work on Indigo Park. Developed by Unique Geese and their crew, it is a first-person mascot horror game in which Jake is a part of, as an animator as well as a song composer for it. There's also a secret project I'm part of that I literally can't tell you anything about, so how about instead we just ask my audience if they have any questions for Jake? That's good. Buried alive. Do you regret the Pibby FNF stuff?
No, why would I regret that?
I don't know.
That's like the Pibby FNF stuff is part of what launched me being able to like take YouTube and making music and such seriously. Like I did start actually making like money that I could use to pay for rent and food and travel till like dusk till dawn. It seems like my influence has been mostly positive. Like people say that they've been really inspired by the kinds of things that I've made, which has always been the goal. And I know the kinds of things that I was saying with my Pibby FNF stuff. I don't really see a reason to regret that. I don't really understand.
Revamped Roses. They're making their own show. I want to know how he learned to compose music so well.
I don't think I started getting good at, or I didn't start getting confident in the music that I was making till I started remixing Steven Universe songs. Because to remix Steven Universe songs, the way that I would usually go about remixing would be that I would like try to find some way to separate the acapella from the instrumental, and then I try recreating the instrumental and then putting my own flair on it, which meant that I had to learn how to deconstruct songs and separate them into parts and figure out where the notes went and what about it sounded cool. Reconstructing songs was how I learned a lot of those practices, and it kind of just played in with a lot of the other kinds of stuff that I like doing. I liked storytelling, and musical storytelling is some of my favorite stuff, so I just took a lot of what I would want to see, what I would like to hear in music, and put that in. I guess like it was a mix of studying my favorite songs and practicing, I guess.
That one guy, how are you able to make rigged animation so lively?
One of the most fun rules that I feel works a lot when making rigged animation lively is to go off model as often as you can. Like it's great to keep them like looking like themselves, but I feel like the most boring kind of rigged animation is the kind of animation that like they don't put in the work to detail where different body parts are going to be, especially the face. I feel like the face is the thing that needs to like be able to move and change the most on the body. Obviously there's other aspects of it, having an understanding of arcs and making the character bouncy and having some circular motion and putting in like details of like characters moving. Any extra parts like their ears or like hair or something should probably be following behind, a little lagged. Honestly, the most appealing, some of the stuff that I've done with like limited frame rates, like the frame rate was really limited, I wasn't satisfied with the way it looked unless I made sure that most of the frames looked unique from each other, even if it's subtle, because hand-drawn animation usually constantly looks like all the frames look different from each other. They're similar, there's like a temporal consistency, but they're different drawings and you can tell they're different drawings. So when I'm doing rig stuff, I want to make it so that you could tell most of the parts are positioned or sized or squished or something different, because that's just how things work, and that makes it look more lively.
With every artist, there's always a new project to work on. Sometimes you find inspiration from the shows you watch, your peers online, or creations that encourage creation themselves. Friday Night Funkin' has launched the creators of many individuals along with Jake Neutron. It was a necessary stepping stone for him and was a pivotal moment in his life. If not for that, he would have had more practice in leading a team, creating music videos, and even exploring what makes him want to keep going. While the FNF chapter has ended in his life, he saw into brighter pastures in the online indie space. And working with Jake has been one of the best parts about my online career. It's amazing to see how many people he's uplifted along the way.
Sometimes you have to create your opportunities, because there's a lot of people, sometimes some new creators, some old creators, who they're waiting for their break, they're waiting for something to come along, they're waiting for something to give them permission to move forward with an idea or a passion or something. But honestly, we live in an age where if you want to do something, you probably can do it. There are going to be tons of obstacles, and it's going to be easier for some people than it is others, but genuinely make your own opportunities. opportunities. It's like, say if you're a voice actor, one great way to start getting more opportunities as a voice actor is to maybe start like just doing your own silly videos, like do dubs especially, yeah, because that can show off your skill in terms of comedy. If you garner a reputation from that because people like your voice, people are also going to seek out your voice and create more opportunities for you. That's one obvious one. If you're an animator or an illustrator, you're making fan art and you're making stuff, if you make things people want, that generates opportunities. So just create your opportunities. Take advantage of the fact that we live in an age where anybody can make anything and you can post it online and anybody can see it. That time that I got to do music for the third season of Amphibious trailer, that was because, I mean, Matt Braley had already knew of me, but I had made a Versus Sasha mod, Friday Night Funkin', and that reminded him that I existed. And so he reached out and asked me to do music for that trailer. And it was because I effectively made that opportunity by expressing myself, by putting myself out there, by making something that garnered attention. It's probably going to take several tries for most people. Some people it might be instant. Maybe you like just get really lucky. But simple point of it is make your own opportunities.
You don't need to keep it to yourself to make a masterpiece.
We do not understand the concept of love. Come on!
Last night at 10 o'clock, we took a look at a new type of roller skate designed by skating enthusiast Scott Olson of Bloomington. Tonight, we look at the sport derived from the invention of the skate.
It's the same feeling as a skateboard, but the wheels are on our feet, you know, stuck on our feet. We can jump over cars and stuff as opposed to a skateboard, you know. The only thing I can define it by is incredible, individual, rebel sport.
Lesson 1. Basic hip. Basic to hip is the concept of digging. Dig. How would you define dig?
Well, you know, man, like when you dig something.
Well, yes.
Dig, baby.
Well, yes.
Video games from the 2000s are being lost to time. Unfortunately, this means many video games from that era have fallen between the cracks. This film aims to highlight the story and experiences derived from such a game. This is the untold story of Sega's estranged masterpiece, Jet Set Radio Future.
Understand the concept of love. Understand the concept of love.
In the world of games, a revolution happens every couple years or so, and another one is upon us courtesy of Sega.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling the love. You feel the love. What's your name? Gary Payton, but they call me the glove.
Sonic and Dreamcast will be introduced in Japan on December 27th. Unfortunately, we in the US will have to wait till next fall.
Just another day at the office for Peter Moore, President and COO of Sega of America Dreamcast.
Our retail receipts for consoles and software will be bigger than the movie receipts of the box office.
Sega's dreams and ambitions were bigger than ever before. Sega was the underdog, competing in an uphill battle against two other prominent players, Nintendo and Sony.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
In order to survive, the Sega Dreamcast had to stand out amongst the crowd. It needed an exclusive selection of games, unique and bold enough to reel in new players.
What's your problem? Let's explore this further. We'll wend our way into Sega, hop up the elevator, and take a little look around. What do you say?
One of the most notable was none other than Jet Set Radio. Developed by Smilebit, Jet Set Radio took Sega's underdog perspective to heart by envisioning a bright and vibrant story that emphasized the importance of free speech and self-expression.
It's a game about getting a crew together, blasting band music, and tagging the walls of Cartoon Tokyo, not stopping even when the police tanks roll in, and not stopping when the CEOs start summoning demons. My name's Wooly. I do Let's Plays on YouTube. I grew up as an arcade kid playing fighting games, and Jet Set Radio, or Jet Grind Radio at the time, stood out because it was just drastically bold with its visuals.
You know, the art director was, I think it's his idea. They were just playing around and came up with the cell shading technique, and they didn't really know what they were building. They just came up with the sort of technique and the graphical look, and they were all into street culture and things like that. And I think they built the game around that.
I believe back when Jet Set Radio was first coming out, it came out in Japan. When they were going to port it to America, there was some licensing issues because I believe the term Jet Set was copyrighted. Sega didn't really want to get in trouble with that, so they renamed it to Jet Grind Radio, which, it makes sense given that's what you're doing for most of the game.
It's a shame I couldn't use Jet Set Radio because I think that's a really, really cool name. But Jet Grind, it does encompass the whole, roller skating, rollerblading thing. So again, it works very well for the game.
Sega's errors as a company, though, have been well documented. Its last home console flopped, and it's seen its market share plummet from more than 50% to about 1%.
Oh yeah, so Kyle, if you're still there, what do you think of the sketch now?
They have a lot banking on the Dreamcast.
Oh, and of course, I hope you have a great time making that burger. Get them. Yeah, I'm considering making a sandwich once I'm done live streaming.
Sadly, however interesting and unique Jet Set Radio's aesthetic may have been, it and the rest of Sega Dreamcast's wild collection of games were not enough to save the console from its imminent death.
Yeah, thank you, Speed.
We had a crew of people who were very into being the underdog.
I'll allow you to die like a warrior.
Oddly enough, becoming the underdog almost galvanized us further. Really brought us together as a team because we knew exactly what we had to do.
And they thought, we drop our price, we come out aggressive with all kinds of things, including you could have a free Dreamcast. And it wasn't enough. They pushed. And at the end of Christmas, they hadn't made headway.
What are you saying?
Rumors started coming out that Sega was no longer manufacturing Dreamcast.
Hi, welcome to Sega.
Although the Sega Dreamcast was discontinued in 2001, Sega's sense of rebellion and desire to craft incomparable digital experiences lived on.
Now everyone, let's march to the end of the galaxy.
At the time, Microsoft was launching their first console and needed an engaging selection of games to reel in new players.
The Xbox is everything The Rock is. Cutting edge, powerful, exhilarating, and like The Rock, it will be the most electrifying thing coming out this year.
Sega made a deal with Microsoft to have Smilebit, the developers of Jet Set Radio, develop a new exclusive title for the original Xbox.
We were able to successfully convert the Sega fan base to other hardware platforms via our games. We were able to explain to gamers, yeah, you can still have your Jet Grind radio, but it's just going to happen on these other platforms, but we promise you it'll be the same exact wonderful gameplay experience.
In order to save time and money, Smilebit capitalized on the work they had already done on Jet Set Radio. They did so by revisiting the world of Tokyo-To and developing the retro-futuristic masterpiece now known as
Jet Set Radio Future.
Jet Set Radio Future.
Jet Set Radio Future!
Jet Set Radio Future sets the tone from the get-go, eager to tell an inspiring story about gangs of skaters and street artists saving their city from the oppressive grip of a totalitarian police state, all while staying funky to the beats of DJ Professor K.
Yeah, this is DJ Professor K, baby, the master of mayhem, know what I'm saying? Bring you another Tokyo Underground pirate radio broadcast from Jet Set Radio. I'm gonna bust into your head through your cute little ears and blow your mind with my sexy voice and out-of-sight sound.
Jet Set Radio Future is a futuristic rollerblading.
The legendary video game made by Sega, originally for the Monster Xbox.
Graffiti tagging, street art.
The coolest cel-shaded anti-authoritarian graffiti gang skating game ever.
Platformer, 3D.
I would describe it as an experience.
Exploration.
It's definitely a game that is life-changing.
Amazing game for the Xbox console.
And it came free with your Xbox. Yeah, you're a bunch of kids who's rollerblading and are rebels who likes to tag stuff illegally. But it's fun.
Jet Set Radio Future was not a remake of the original Jet Set Radio, nor was it a sequel.
You know, when you remix something, it's not about making it better, it's about it maybe extending the life or taking it in a slightly different route.
Jet Set Radio Future was an edgier, more polished
Alright,
with textures.
so it looks like I'm finally done working on 3 different sketches. Oh, and of course, I'm going to be ending the stream in about a minute. Oh, and of course, thank you everybody for watching me draw and sticking with me for, let's see, oh wow, like 3 hours and 14 minutes. Ah, pretty cool, pretty cool. But yeah, so of course I am going to be back live streaming tomorrow. Same time as always, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, and yeah, thank you, Get him. Yeah, W stream indeed. But yeah, so anyways, take care everybody, and I hope you all have a good night.
Smilebit treated Jet Set Radio Future as if it were a futuristic cultural movement, believing that in order for
Oh yeah, of course. No problem, Mio. And take care, Denise.
revolutionary in the way it looked, in the way it sounded,
Yep.
in the way it felt, especially from the player's perspective.
It's a game that really captures an essence and like a period of time.
think people are still holding on to Jet Set Radio Future.